And then we're good. Okay, and then I see somebody here requesting. Hello, how you doing?
I'm not bad. I just wanted to have a conversation before that god awful mod of yours got up here.
Okay, what's up? How old are you? I need to know your age
Nothing.
before we move forward.
I'm 52.
Okay, and do you think seed oils, artificial sweeteners, and soy are bad, or that raw milk is good, or anything like
I
that?
think raw milk is. I think raw milk is good.
Good in what
The other
sense?
stuff
Like
seems a little
we can talk about.
conspiracy.
Yeah, we can get into the other stuff afterwards. But raw milk, are you saying it's good? Because I don't care about the taste, right? I'm not going to argue about the taste. But are you saying it's good in the sense that it's healthy and good for us?
Yeah, I'm saying that it brought up a lot of people for a long time, and if you're out on a farm still, it's drank every day.
Well, sure, people drink it, but that doesn't mean it was necessarily the best thing for us. I mean, there was a lot of things that we did in the past just because that was all that was available. But the pasteurization process aims to minimize the foodborne pathogens in there, and there's objectively less of them in there, and there's less of a chance of getting sick from them when you do pasteurize it.
Yeah, I would agree with what you just said, but I would still say that raw milk is not bad. But I
Well,
mean,
I just
factually, you're
don't.
right about what
I,
you just said.
sure, but I just don't see a reason to drink it, given that the nutrient profile is really not all that different, and secondly, more importantly, it's just significantly more healthy for you, or more unhealthy for you. So I don't see why. Like, what's the reason you get nothing out of it?
Have you had it right from the teat?
I have not, but I don't need to in order to say what I just said. Again, if it tastes
No,
good,
well,
whatever. But it's not. There's no more nutrients in it than pasteurized milk.
there's
So I
more
just
fat.
No, it seems to be roughly the same. And even if there was more fat, that would make it better, though. Again,
Well,
it
it
seems to be this.
depends.
It depends on what.
It depends on your lifestyle and your nutrient need. Fat is not inherently bad.
I didn't say it is, but number one, there isn't more fat in it. Secondly, your average American already intakes too many calories, and given that fat is over 2 times more calorically dense than carbs and protein, it probably would be a good idea to not have things high in fat. But again, it's not even higher in fat. It's the same. It's no different.
It's higher in fat. None
Uh,
can escape.
let's look it up. Fat content of raw
Right from
milk.
the teat. Right from the teat.
Um, yeah, dude, I'm looking it up. It has the same amount of grams of fat per cup as pasteurized milk does.
No, because if it's not right from the teat, some can escape.
But it's not. The fat content's the same. I just looked it up. Do you mind not chewing on live? I'd appreciate that. I know you're probably doing it on purpose, but let's not do that.
No, I really wasn't. I didn't know it was that sensitive. I was even chewing with my mouth closed.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of loud. But anyways, the fat content's no different. I just looked it up. It's the same amount. We're looking at
Down to
roughly
the
eight grams per 8 grams of fat per cup in both of them.
does it? It shows down to the hundredths.
Hundreds of what?
The hundredths of 1%. I mean, we need to know, like, if we're talking grams, does it show to the hundredth of a gram?
You don't need to. They're both 12. They're both 8 grams per.
Well, one could be 8.06 and one could be
Yeah,
8.006.
that doesn't make a difference.
Uh, that's not how numbers work. That does make a difference.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't make any substantial difference. The calories aren't
Eight
going to be
point
any
six
different.
isn't greater than eight point
It's not
zero
a rele-
six.
It's not a relevant difference in consuming calories. No.
I think you might be a little more privileged than some of your counterparts are, because in some places that is a big difference.
It's not. There's no difference in the calories when one would do that. It's not.
Whoever enough is an idiot. But anyway, uh,
Who do you think he voted for? If you were to take a guess, somebody that's being anti-Semitic, Who do you think he voted for if you had a guess?
Well, I know that you're trying to steer me into saying Trump.
Well,
I don't support Trump, just so you know. But I will say I have met some extremely hateful, bigoted people that didn't vote for Trump.
guys, don't mute or block Asynaptic, please. So whoever's modding here, do not block or mute him. Okay.
That guy is an idiot, though.
Well, enough is, but Asynaptic is just joking about it, so don't mute or block him. Or them. It may be a girl or a guy. I don't know who Asynaptic is, but don't block or mute him. Um. Anyways, guys, keep tapping and sharing. Do you have anything else to say, man, or what?
Do you agree with me that there's some very bigoted, hateful people that voted against Trump? Because I know you was trying to steer me into that corner.
Bigoted in which way?
Just bigoted.
But bigoted towards who?
What? Well, how is one bigoted better than another?
I'm not. I'm just asking who are they bigoted towards?
Anybody? Okay. Anybody flying an American flag?
How can you be bigoted towards somebody flying an American flag?
You stereotype them. You hate them based on things that you perceive of their
Well, that be,
ethics and morals.
well, there's no. That's not being bigoted. Being against somebody who voted for Trump is being against them on the basis of what their morals or ethics could be or what their views are. It's not bigoted. That wouldn't be the right word.
If it stopped there, you'd be correct, but that's not how it works. They call them all kinds of things that they don't even know about them.
What do you mean?
Well, they call them racist. They call them PDFs. They call them grape supporters.
Well,
Uh,
but by definition, that would be true. He was found civilly liable for s-ing a woman.
yeah, but we're
Um,
adults and you can make a vote and not support something. We know
but
that.
but if you vote for somebody who did that, you're still voting for a guy who raped another woman.
Well, technically you're right, but that doesn't mean you support that part.
I think it says
See,
something
that's
about.
that's where the bigotry
I
comes
think I,
in.
that again, that's not bigoted. That wouldn't be the right word. But again, if you're voting knowing that this person raped another human being, I think that says something about you that you're okay with that. I think it says something bad about you if you're okay with that.
How does it not say just as much about the other candidate?
Well, did Kamala Harris rape another person?
Well, I don't know. But I
Well,
did.
then,
I voted for her to be clear. But
okay.
my point is that people are bigoted on every side, shape, and corner of this globe.
Not liking somebody isn't bigoted. I think you're
That's
confusing
not
things.
how. So you're telling me that the left is just not bigoted? That's what you're saying, that they just
There
don't
could
like
be
people that
people.
they.
I can't speak for every single person. Of course, there
Are
are
you speaking
racists
for
and
the
say.
entire right? You
Uh,
think the entire right is bigoted?
well, let's read the definition first. Make sure we're using this word correctly.
Oh yeah.
Unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, in particular prejudiced against or antagonistic toward a person or people
Yep.
on the basis of their membership of a particular group. Okay,
Yep.
but
Perfect.
so,
A perfect fit for a
okay. So
perfect
I
fit
want
for the left.
so I want you to tell me what is incorrect about uh, uh, Trump that people on the left are saying.
No, it's not about Trump. It's about the people that may have voted for him. You're not
Well,
ever
okay,
going to
yeah,
catch me defending Trump.
yeah, about the people though. So what's incorrect that is being said towards them?
Well, it could. I mean, it would have to be specific. You
Well,
can't
give
just
me
label. You can't blanket label. So I just did. We just went over a bunch of things.
well,
Okay,
but
racist. Is everybody that votes for Trump a racist? No, we're adults here.
well, what would you say the definition of racist is?
It's
I,
real easy.
I,
Discrimination based on race.
Okay, but listen, I don't think every single person that voted for him is necessarily a racist. But I bet you, I bet you, if somebody is racist, they did vote for him, though. That I can bet.
And I wouldn't agree with that. I know people on the left. I know my counterparts that are extremely racist
So
that
you're
voted for
telling
Kamala.
me if you were to take a bet, there's some person who's explicitly racist towards some a black person for whatever reason. You're telling me that person's
Well,
more likely to vote for
hold on.
Harrison.
It's not just black. it's not just black people.
Okay.
I swear, if this is one of your mods, I'm out of
All right,
here.
all right. We're off topic anyways. Hey, guest. How old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the topic? What we have on screen?
What's the topic? Like
Why did
Trump?
why did why
Why do
did
I
you
support?
why did you request if you don't know the topic?
I just came by for something interesting, but of
What
course I saw
what do you
Trump and I want to.
what do you mean something interesting?
Of course, it's Trump and
But the
there's
topic, we have
a
a
lot of
topic.
issues.
Hey, we have a topic. Why did you request not knowing what the topic is? That's weird.
So what's the topic?
Look, read it, man. You use your brain. This is the equivalent of somebody, if you're in person walking and you see a group of people talking, you just go into the conversation talking about whatever, not even listening to what they were talking about. This is the topic. Why would you join without knowing the topic?
Man, I just get off.
Do you have anything to say in regards to the topic? Okay, well, I'll take this as a no. Guys, I am just looking for opposition. Thick, I do see you in there. Thick penguins, different thick guys. Um, I am just looking for opposition because I also don't have that much more time either. This is the equivalent of asking for proof for someone while you're on the computer with Google. Uh, okay. Uh, yeah, guys, if you think raw milk is good, you have to provide evidence for it. And I'm going to tell you right now what evidence is not. Okay. I'm going to give you examples of something that's not objective evidence. You telling me that people have been drinking it for years, therefore it's good. You telling me that you had been drinking it for years, therefore it's good. You telling me that um, any population has been drinking it for years. I know specifically you guys like to talk about the Amish. That doesn't make it good. Just because humans or a human has been doing something for any period of time and they're alive, that doesn't mean said thing is good. When are my evening lives? I unfortunately don't have scheduled lives. And it just depends. When I do go live in the evening, I don't know, it could be anywhere between 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, something like that. It's hard to say, really. That's literally my prompt. Yeah, and I want some of you guys or one of you to come on up, dial the phone number, come on up and prove me wrong. It shouldn't be that difficult. If I saw a topic on YouTube or TikTok or whatever saying seed oils are horrible, prove me wrong, I would come up instantly because I have the evidence to prove them wrong, and I'm very confident in the evidence. So what it's telling me is that when you guys read this and you refuse to come on up, you come up with the excuse that A, you're working when you're in the comment section all day, or B, it's not worth talking to me. Those are just excuses. What you're really saying is that, oh gosh, I don't have the evidence to prove this guy wrong. That's why you're not coming up. So come on up. Oh, there was something said on the blue app. Let me see. Sorry. Hell yeah, love this 69 cent one. Let's see. Once again, guys, if you think cereal is raw milk or soy is bad for you, hit the request button. Come on up. Uh, Thick said, guys, a different Thick than the one that you guys normally know. Said, I drink a Coke Zero in Mexico. Real cane artificial sweeteners on Saturday. Then the country fell in violence. Checkmate liberal. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. The blue out with a V. It rhymes with Schmenmo. Your phone speaker is full of dust and you can't hear. That sounds problematic. I think most people aren't willing to argue a false premise with a member of the Synagogue of Satan. Oh, there we go. Love the anti-Semitism there in the chat. Great. So that just goes into yet another excuse as to why you guys don't want to come out. You're just anti-Semitic. Cool. If I was right, I would have more followers. I think I'm doing quite okay. Thank you. But hey, again, if you're confident enough to prove me wrong, then just come on up. Again, there's a reason why when I do this topic that the few people that do come on up cannot even provide a single ounce of evidence. It's all just feeling. So it's just, how do you not know that seed oils are bad? It's so obvious it's bad. Well, sorry, buddy, that's not evidence. Nobody cares? That's weird, because last time I did this topic, I had 12,000 views. So there was 12,000 people that clearly cared. How do you not know you're not a Semite? There we go, soy boy. I love those comments. It's an automatic reflex when you guys say soy boy. You don't even know what it means. You just say it. That's what you do with raw milk. Yeah, raw milk is objectively worse for you than pasteurized milk. There is zero reason to be drinking raw milk. There's no more benefits to it, and there's only drawbacks. Well, Mr. Maple, it is nice to see you in the comments. Oh, see? Look at this. Gotcha says, of course raw milk is bad. But there's going to be people in the comments that very much disagree with you. There's a reason why this is the topic, because there are people that think raw milk that is amazing. And yes, I think most of you guys don't even know what pasteurized means. What's Soros? I never heard about it. It's this thing on the right where they think somebody named George Soros, who's a billionaire, is telling Democrats what to do, and he's like sort of like the quote unquote leader, or the what would be the puppeteer, the guy making the moves and funding all of the protest. It's conspiracy theory shit. You'll sometimes see it in the comments of them saying like, "Oh, Soros must be funding you," so that's why I have it in the thing. I'm just playing into their stupid ideas. Yeah, see, people in the YouTube comments believe it, that he's the head of the Democrat Party, but they don't even know anything about him, but they say it. One guy agrees with me. See, I'm right. Yeah, that's not how it works. Shoshan. One is not correct because somebody else agrees with me. This is correct because the information is correct. And again, the fact that you're not coming on up shows that you are not confident enough to prove me wrong. Tommy, thank you for the 2 on the green app that starts with a C. It's my Soros stipend. See? Told you guys. Soros is helping me out. Tommy, thank you. W Tommy in the comments. Again, I am waiting for somebody to come on up to prove me wrong. You can come up with every excuse in the book that it's not worth talking to me, that I'm Jewish, and this and that. They're all just excuses. It would be a lot more satisfying for you guys for somebody to come on up and just shoot all of my points down and make me look stupid. But you're not doing that because you can't. Just grifting for money? Well, that's a redundant statement. Grifting insinuates that you're doing it for money. So number one, that was redundant. And number 2, grifting insinuates that I am knowingly putting out fake information for the sake of making money. So you would have to prove that I myself, A, am putting out misinformation, and B, that I'm knowingly doing so. And I don't think you're going to be able to prove that. Why am I here? The same reason that you are here, buddy. You can also pasteurize your eggs if you're... Sure. Again, you guys can come with excuses all day to say that I'm making my points invalid. You can say that all you want. But again, somebody who actually knows the opposite information and claims to have the evidence and they're confident enough, they would just come on up and prove me wrong. Because that would be incredibly more satisfying for you guys to do that. If you watched me look like a complete dumbass while someone's just knocking down every point I got, that would hold a lot more weight than you guys being little wussies and hiding in the comments all day. Um, um, yeah, David, I'm just seeing your text. I actually don't know. I really don't know, David. I would assume a troll, but I truly don't know. They can stay, I suppose, unless, until proven otherwise. I generalize and use an opinion as a fact, which is false. No one needs to prove you wrong. Yep, I've lost all credibility. Sure. Again, just an excuse. As I already said, you guys saying that I'm not worth talking to, that I'm pushing out misinformation, is just an excuse. Anybody, once again, for like the 20th time, that knew I was wrong and had the evidence to prove me wrong would come on up. You guys just like to hide in the comments because that's all your life is about. Hiding in the comments, saying things that you wish you can say to people in person, but you never do, so you just say it over the keyboard. That's all your life has ever amounted to. No more than that. That is that is the most that you can do in your life is hide in the comments and just try to make fun of people. Your life is worth no more than that. You have no credibility. You have nothing good about you whatsoever. That is what your life is. Yeah, so when I'm talking about this topic here, I will talk about this topic. Um, Seed oils. Not saying that they're good, I'm just saying they're not bad. And I know people purposely like to misconstrue it. Just because something isn't bad, that doesn't necessarily make it mean it's good. Depends on the context. So no, I don't think seed oils are the enemy. I don't think seed oils are the reason why people are unhealthy. I don't think seed oils are causing or doing any of the things that you may hear from silly little streamers. There's no evidence to back it up. The only problem that one would have with seed oils, and this isn't even a direct issue with seed oils, is that they are often found in unhealthy processed fast food, etc. So when somebody is cutting out seed oils out of their diet, by default, they're cutting out foods that happen to already be unhealthy as is. Not because of the seed oil, just because of the concoction of everything that is in there. And it's not the seed oil that makes it bad specifically. You can replace it with some other oil, and they would be just as problematic. Really. I always use this example, but if fast food, or if McDonald's, for example, stopped cooking with seed oils and they cooked with, say, butter instead or beef tallow instead, all else being equal, calories, the grams of fat, all being equal, wouldn't change one fucking bit. Wouldn't be any healthier for you. Fast food is bad in the sense that it's easy to overeat. Provides a lot of calories. It's very palatable, but I don't But even with that, I don't think that if you are healthy otherwise, that having fast food here and there is going to be something that's going to like bring your health from being very good down a few notches. I think one could strategically have fast food or any quote unquote bad food in their diet, depending on how much they're having, depending on the rest of their diet. Animal fat is better. Well, that is towards the topic. Is you have to provide evidence for that. Okay, you can't say it's natural. That's not evidence. You have to provide evidence that animal fat, calorie for calorie, gram for gram, compared with say a seed oil, is better for one's health. You're gonna have to provide me research on that. And I got news for you. All the research on that shows that to not be true. Okay, I'm not anti-animal fat by any means. I think it's fine if you have some, but again, the poison is in the dose, and that goes with anything. Things aren't just black and white, good or bad. It's very dose dependent, and again, it's very context dependent. So I know many of you guys are just too dumb and don't know how to think outside of black and white thinking. I get it. That's all you guys can grasp. You guys can't grasp any. You guys cannot grasp nuance at all. For you guys, it just has to be all this or all that. So I get why you guys think the way that you do, but you know. So again, having some animal fat is fine, but again, it depends on what the remainder of your diet looks like. If you're already intaking a lot of saturated fats from elsewhere, then no, it's probably not the best idea to have animal fat because that's probably going to put you over the mark of how much saturated fat is going to start being problematic for you. Thank you so much for the hat. Is going to be problematic for your diet. I got to charge my phone. I think it's something like seven. I forget what the number roughly is. It's like 7 or 8% of your calories, no more than that, um, is is what you wouldn't want to go over because you start risking health issues with that. So as long as you don't go beyond that, I think you're going to be okay. Beef tallow is having a moment right now, but it has drawbacks. Yeah, for sure. I'm a big egg guy. I think eggs are great. I have eggs. It's weird because when I talk about this topic, people assume for some reason I'm a vegetarian, or vegan, which I'm not. They assume that I'm anti milk or anti meat or anti whatever. No, I enjoy eggs. I enjoy steak. I enjoy chicken. I enjoy it. It's just because I eat something or not eat something, that doesn't necessarily make it good or bad. I just don't think one should comprise their entire diet out of eggs and um, and meat and butter and things like that. I think a diet comprised solely of that is going to it's not going to be good in the long term. All right, guys, keep tapping and sharing on TikTok. If you're enjoying live, click the red follow button. And on TikTok or YouTube, click the subscribe button. Oh, guys, it looks like I may not need to come go into the gym. I had a client in like 20 minutes, but she's getting held back at work, it seems. So I think I might be able to stay here a little bit longer, which is good because I wanted to keep doing this. Yeah, that's totally fine. Sorry, guys. Where is the Google Voice? All right, guys, we're calling to the Google Voice. Ah, see, there comes the anti-Semites. This topic just brings in the anti-Semites. It's funny that Jews always find a way to excuse their lack of dedication. Guys, apparently an excuse for me not going to the gym is that my client needs to reschedule. Gosh darn, that client's rescheduling. Totally my fault. Hey, what's up, Alex? No, Caitlin, I get it. But sometimes these are all the clients can do. You're right, going straight from work to working out mentally, and depending on your job physically, can be a little tough. But sometimes that's all people can do. But that's the point of having a personal trainer, is to specifically um, have that accountability. You
Hey,
know, she
sir, are
has
you
it.
anti-Jewish?
We In order to talk about, I just need to know your age. How old are you?
I'm 21. Are you anti-Jewish?
What do you mean anti-Jewish? I'm Jewish. Why would I be anti-Jewish?
Well, you made a comment about the Jewish community and you started laughing about it.
Oh, I was reading somebody's comment. I am Jewish.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hmm. Well, okay then. Interesting stuff. All right. Anyways, Mr. Maple, I know it's pretty bad. Anyways, though, let's get back to the topic. People all claiming the soy boy thing in the comment section. Again, I don't think any of them even know what that's based on. I think they just repeat it because they heard other people say it, so they thought it was cool to say. Um, but yeah, there's no evidence that soy feminizes you or raises estrogen. You know how I know that? Because every time I do this topic, not a single human being can provide evidence otherwise. Alaskan, I'm totally allowing your anti-Semitic bullshit to be in the comments so people can see you. I don't really give a shit when it comes to YouTube. If you're on TikTok, I would get rid of you, but I don't really give a shit when it comes to YouTube. Be anti-Semitic all you want. You're only exposing yourself. You did a late night gym session. I could barely make it upstairs after. Yeah, Alex, absolutely no evidence at all. It's not that. Hold on. I want to make it very clear. I don't believe that soy doesn't raise estrogen, not because there's a lack of evidence, but also because the actual evidence itself doesn't show it. So it's not the lack thereof. There are plenty of randomized controlled trials done on this showing that to not be true. But once again, guys, there is a phone number on screen. Please go ahead and dial if you want to come in on on YouTube, on TikTok. You could just hit the guest button, guest request button, whatever. Well, that's another thing, Dan. A lot of people on the right automatically think estrogen is this evil thing that you should have none of. And if you have less of it, that means you are more masculine and therefore you have more value. However, many of them don't realize that they do actually have estrogen. Yes, there's obviously less, no duh, but one second, guys, I apologize. All right, so again, if you disagree with this, hit the speaking liberal talking points. Cool, good shit, love it. All right. All right. Alaskan, you are getting zero recognition from me moving forward. The last thing I said to you is the last thing you're going to hear from me as a direct comment. Sorry, buddy. I certainly can respond to other ones, but Alaskan, you got all you're going to get. Now, as far as other people, I know, Caleb. Um, you have been eating animal fats your whole life and you're 67 and you have no serious medical issues. Sure, Richard, again, I'm not saying that one can't have animal fats. Never saying that. I have animal fats. I drink a lot of milk, so I get a lot of fat from that. I go through my phases of having eggs and I certainly eat meat, so I have them. And that's not what I'm saying. I think people, again, are getting stuck in this black and white thinking, insinuating that I am thinking, or I am saying, that if you eat any animal fats, you are going to be unhealthy. No. Surely you can have some. And surely there's plenty of people of all ages who have animal fats and are healthy. I am just saying, when you control for all said variables, you're looking at animal fats and you're versus other fats, you're just going to find on average that the animal fats are going to be less healthy for you. Da, 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 da. Sorry. But didn't eat even a carton of eggs or the entire box of candy. I don't know what that means. Oh, I wanted evidence. Yeah, Richard, that's why I said before, guys. Anecdotes are not evidence, and I think that's sometimes the issue. I think a lot of people don't even know what actual evidence is. They think solid evidence is, hey, I did this, therefore this applies to this on a macro scale. Yeah, sure, you eating animal fats is anecdotal, but that doesn't mean that it like there are plenty of people your age that have been smoking 2 packs a day and they don't have lung cancer and metabolically they're healthy. It would be very, very disingenuous to say, oh, these things are healthy, to say the smoking is healthy because of that. All right. Sorry, guys. I was just rescheduling a client. Other. All right. The derangement of people who think he can do no wrong. Okay. Why do you choose? Animal fat is much better than the chemicals and seed oils and soy plus. You have an idea? Yeah, so Lane, I'd love for you to come on up. I think this could be a terrific conversation. There's the phone number there. All you have to do is call on in, and I promise we'll have a great conversation. You know, as long as you come in civil and all that, we'll have a pretty good conversation. But you have to prove that animal fat on a macro scale is more healthier. And unfortunately, you're using chemicals in you're insinuating a negative sense when everything is a chemical. Literally everything is a chemical. Water, chemical. Apples, made up of chemicals. Any vegetable, literally anything is made up of chemicals. Everything is a chemical. So you saying that it's full of chemicals is it's a fear mongering thing that some of these wellness influencers do because they know it elicits emotion in people. And when somebody hears, oh, it's full of chemicals, they think all of a sudden, gosh, this must be very unhealthy. But it's an incredibly intellectually dishonest thing to be doing if you're doing it knowingly, at least. What is up, Kelsey? How you doing? Refined chemicals are bad. Sure. I would never acknowledge. I would never not acknowledge, or that's a weird way of saying it. Of course, I would acknowledge there are chemicals that are bad, or chemicals that are good, and everything in between. No, duh. But I think when we say, or when somebody says, seed oils are full of chemicals, it's just it's just a dishonest thing to say, in the sense that, like, again, everything has chemicals, and it's just you have to be more specific. If you're insinuating they are bad chemicals, you need to tell me specifically what chemical is in a seed oil, or what chemicals are in a seed oil to make it bad. That's what you need to say. And I know I'm pressing you guys, and that's the point, because I don't think a lot of you guys think into this too much, it seems. I get it, there are a lot of wellness influencers out there that sound very convincing, but if they don't provide any research done on this, and they're just convincing you via their words, I would be very weary of that. And here's the deal: I know a lot of you are very anti-pharma, and I would agree. I have a lot of issues with the pharmaceutical industry, but one of the main reasons why we tend to be anti-pharma is because look at the money. Look how much money they get, right? That's one of the most common things said in regards to the pharmaceutical industry of why it's problematic, is because of how much they profit, right? I think you would all agree with that in the comments. Whether you disagree with me on everything else, you would all agree that the pharmaceutical industry is problematic partly because of the money that they make. Obviously, there's other issues too. No duh, right? But here's the catch. When we talk about the wellness industry, they make more money. They profit more. The health and wellness industry objectively makes more money per year than the pharmaceutical industry. So if we're going to criticize the pharmaceutical industry because of how much they profit, then it would only be fair and honest to say that the health and wellness industry has problems because they profit. And therefore, you shouldn't just necessarily believe everything they say, because what they say may be influenced by how much they profit. All I'm saying is that's something that you should keep in mind. Medical research is expensive with a lot of moving parts that require funding. Yeah, no, I'm just playing into what they're saying. I don't think just the pharmaceutical industry is necessary. But I think what some people do, they assign everything with the pharmaceutical industry. Like any research, they just throw that in and say, well, that's big pharma. But those are different things, right? Not everything that you dislike in relation to food is big pharma, right? It would be unfair to lump everything into that. When you start talking about things like built-in biases, people get lost in a weed. Well, you're right, but there are built-in biases, unfortunately. And I think it's important to know that when we search things, when we Google search things, right? There was an example of it the other day when I was, what were they saying? I forget what their claim was. Something about raw milk being good, or it might have been about that. I don't know, but anyways, when you Google search something, you don't Google it in your favor. Let's say you think seed oils are bad. The best way to get the least biased search is to not type in why are seed oils bad and throw in the word studies afterwards if you care about research, which you should. The best thing to do is the health effects of seed oils studies. That would get you a minimally biased search. And on the flip side, it wouldn't be good for me to type in on Google the myth of seed oils being bad research or studies or whatever after it, because then I would be looking for what I want to look for. So the bias starts in how we research things. Yeah, use Google Scholar, but again, you have to put in keywords to again minimize the biases rather. Gavin Newsom. Why would we talk about him? That has nothing to do with the topic. People who say that research will always agree with whoever is funding them has zero idea how many steps there are in between forming a hypothesis and publish article. 100%. I agree. They do not seem to understand that in the least bit. Hello, how you doing?
Doing good. How you doing, Doug?
Good, man. I just need to know your age real quick before we move forward. I think you've been up before, but just for TikTok USA. You're
I'm 40.
okay, cool. And what's on your mind, man?
Yeah. Seed oils and artificial sweeteners are not bad.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe they are?
I just had a presentation from from a doctor
Uh-huh.
and a food practitioner,
Okay.
food specialist with his practice, I should say,
Okay.
at work, talking about seed oils, and the
Oh, cool.
title of the title of the presentation was seed oils, how they are made and why they are bad for you.
Okay. Well, I guess this is perfect timing then, right?
And also artificial sweeteners. I need to know specifically what artificial sweeteners you're referring to.
Sure. Let's take this thing one at a time. So, seed oils. Why do you believe seed oils to be bad?
Compared to avocado and coconut oils, the seed oil, it's the way that it's over processed. It's the same thing with our wheat system here in America. It's over processed. The way seed oils are created, they're over processed.
Okay. I would like to get into that. I just do have a quick question. Are you of the belief that butter and beef tallow are better for you than, say, a seed oil?
Uh, I'm sorry. What was the first one? Meat tallow. Yes. What was the
But
first one? Udder.
butter and beef tallow.
Butter. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, minus wheat in your diet. Yes.
Okay. We can
If
get
you
that.
if you eat bread, if you eat bread and wheats, that's what clogs the arteries and all that.
Okay,
But
we can certainly get to that. So what about butter do you believe is going to be better for you? Like what contents of butter do you believe is going to be better?
better than seed oils.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, just the pro. I mean, it's all natural milk, turning into a healthy saturated fat
Okay.
compared to.
Well,
So, are you
but
you
here's
want
the
to
deal
answer or
though.
no?
Well, I disagree. There's no research to show that saturated fats in comparison to polyunsaturated fats are healthier.
My, I mean, sadly, I honestly don't give a fuck about research. I only give a fuck about reality. So I
Well,
don't know what to tell you.
but how do you know if something is true if you only base it on your feelings?
It's not based on my feelings. It's based on my lived experiences.
But that doesn't determine if something is true. For example, there are
Yes, it
plenty of
does.
people. Well, there's not because there are plenty of people that have smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day into their 60s and 70s and they didn't get cancer. Their lived experience would say smoking doesn't cause cancer. That wouldn't be a fair thing to say.
That
And that's
that
you're going to say that's different, right?
no, that's not. That's not. How about you not infer on what I'm going to say, and how about you let me just say what I'm
It
going to
would
say?
be
How about that?
imply. Infer comes from urine. Imply comes from me. But yeah, anyways, go ahead. And Alex, you're
Nice.
welcome to come
So
up for this if you want.
thank you for correcting yourself. Then don't imply what I'm going to say. How about you let me say it? Then how about
Okay,
that?
that's fair. That's fair.
Is that fair? Cool.
Yeah.
So to your example of people smoking, we're not talking about smoking. I thought we was talking about the prompt.
I
So
know, but you said your lived experience
you wanted to
determines.
know my lived experiences associated with butter and the
I,
saturated
I,
fat.
but
It's my
it's
own personal lived experience, along with the results and tests
I,
of the doctor that
I I
that presents
understand.
that my drug.
I understand,
Right.
but it's weird that you're
And
avoiding
he
what I'm
goes over
saying.
he does the research and stuff for me to where
Oh,
he
but you
gives me
don't
the
care
cliff
about
notes.
research. But you don't care about research. You said.
No, no, I do. It's just that I don't have to
But
whenever
you said you
he
didn't.
get no. Yeah,
You
exactly.
did
I
say
don't have
it.
to whenever he provides
So,
exactly when he
so
provides
research only
the
matters when it
main
backs up what you
sources,
believe.
the science behind it,
That's
and
called
then
bias.
do you
Okay,
That's
but what?
understand
bias.
Hold
how
on. But once again,
how
but
an
what?
individual
What?
exactly? But it's
Okay,
my
but
own
once again,
individual
hold on,
bias
hold
based
on,
on
hold on, hold on. Once
the
again,
no,
so
okay,
there are
no,
plenty
I'm
of
not
people.
going to be tag teamed by a bunch of fucks. I'll tell you
We're
that
not
much right
tag teaming.
now.
I
You
A
got
just want
bunch
to
of
state this.
fucks.
yes, you
Please
That's
let me
are.
clever.
speak. You gotta let
You
me
all have
speak,
good.
man. Hey,
No,
dude,
no, go fuck yourself.
okay? We can just do one on one. We could just do one on one.
No, I'm good. I'm good, bub. You're a
All right, so
dishonest
you're
fuck.
just running away. You're a pussy who's running away.
Because you're a dishonest fuck. No, no, you're just a dishonest fuck.
What
So
am
go
I
fuck yourself.
dishonest about? What am I dishonest about?
Because you brought in a moderator to fucking tag
She
team, and then
okay, I'll
her
bring her
cunt
down.
ass comes
I
in.
will bring
Her
her
cunt ass
down if
comes in
you're
with,
too
you don't
scared.
give a shit about
If you're
research, and I'm
too
sitting here telling
scared,
you that I technically don't.
if you're
But
too scared, I'll bring her down.
it's not.
Are you
You're
scared of
too
a woman?
scared to just
Are
have
you
the
scared of an
one-on-one
educated
conversation.
woman?
You're
You're scared
clearly
of an
scared to
educated
have the
woman. It's
one-on-one.
okay.
This is how she interrupts. You're too
I'm
scared to have the
offering
one-on-one
I'm
conversation,
offering to
bub.
bring her
You're a
down and you're
dishonest fuck.
saying no.
Go fuck
Hold on.
yourself.
I'm offering to bring her down and you're saying no.
I'll go.
Okay, so it's
Oh, we
not
can
about
go.
what a fucking wuss.
What a brat. Like, that was
The
so
mo-
bratty,
the
wasn't it?
moment
Like, just throwing a tantrum.
he is the biggest snowflake ever. The moment I brought up about smoking, he did not want to acknowledge it at all, and it triggered him
Smoking?
hardcore. Well, I
How we
brought up
doing?
that
How we doing?
one second, man. I brought up somebody's lived experience who smoked for decades and they're fine would say smoking's not bad for you, and that really
Right.
triggered him because his whole thing was based on lived experience. Um, anyways, Matek, am I saying that right?
Yeah, man, you already know, man.
Okay, I just need to
What
know
you
your
telling
age.
me, though?
I just need to know your age before we move
Me
forward.
23. Me,
Okay,
man, 23, man.
okay. So do
Yeah,
you believe?
man.
Okay, do you disagree with the topic?
Yeah, man.
Okay, are you, what are you doing here? Can we have a conversation, or are you just gonna do this weird troll thing?
So basically, essentially, you were asking me a question and I answered, and you
Okay,
didn't give me 2 seconds to rebuttal. Calm
it was just
yourself down before you hurt yourself. So
okay.
basically, essentially, raw milk is very good for you. Essentially, basically, if you live in the rural areas in the greenery, you shall be of understandings of what it gives you. It gives you sustenance, the one of
Okay,
which you must be. Yes,
cool.
indeed, it's the best for you.
Okay. Thank you guys. Okay, so what about raw milk is better for you than pasteurized milk?
So basically, essentially, when I have indulgence on my island of a 60,000 populace, of which we have to drink it from our cows, from our
Oh my
animals,
god.
goats, and all of it, one must be of understanding. This is very good for us. We are very knowledgeable people in the sense that a lot of people are right rich of the reader riches and must be of understanding that we die. Yeah, let's just say that, to be fair.
Okay, all right. So you're not
This
speaking
reminds me of
English.
when I went to Edinburgh, Scotland, and they speak English there, but like the way that they talk is so jumbled and fast, it's really hard to understand.
Yeah, I don't even think he is
You
Like,
speaking
know what?
English.
I understand if you're having difficulty, but you need to come with some evidence. If you're going to make claims about your people, then there should be papers or some kind of case study written about your group of people and how they can survive on raw milk without catching any kind of listeria, E. coli, tuberculosis. What else is in there? Lots of stuff.
Yeah, man. So basically, whoa,
Listen, dude,
you know.
I'm not gonna
If I had
entertain the
the
trolling.
oh sorry, no, I
Just
was coughing. Excuse me. Didn't you see the camera? Not the
you were
camera.
not
Sorry, I can't even
coughing.
see the camera
You were not
button. But there was.
coughing. You were not
Excuse me.
coughing.
I was in this
Stop.
coughing.
Listen,
Why are you
listen. I am
assuming?
going to shut you down right now.
Why are you an
I
assumptuous
stop it.
person? I
I
was
am not going to do this trolling
indeed.
thing.
I was.
Speak
I'm in the
or be
outside.
gone. Speak or be
Unfortunately,
gone.
excuse me. I'm in the forest right now. I'm in the woods right now, and it's cold. I coughed. Indeed, I did.
The
There is no
Okay,
camera
cool.
button for me to
I
show
don't
you.
care. I don't care anymore. Tell me why raw milk is bad.
So
And speak
basically,
English.
essentially. Oh, essentially, basically, I can't even lie to you. All this time we were debating that raw milk is good. I ain't even saying raw
Or
milk is
say
bad, you know.
that's what I meant. Good. I'm sorry. So tell me specifically via
Oh,
research
sorry,
why
but
raw
yeah,
milk
man,
is
out
good.
here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Basically, essentially, my people, literally, I
Stop
think we
saying
are very
basically.
transversal people.
Stop saying basically. Essentially, it makes you sound dumb.
Oh, dude, please realize that we are
All right,
from an
I'm about to
island, so we
drop you.
speak
I'm
very
about to
different.
drop you because you're trolling. If
We
you
speak
will,
very
if
different. Excuse me.
goodbye.
Like, are you?
Matek, I'm not bringing you up. Clearly, you're trolling. That wasn't a normal conversation. You just
I'm in the
decided to
forest
say
on TikTok.
he just decided to say 4 words in English, and the rest were mumbo jumbo.
It was essentially, basically, what else? There was like a couple other like.
Yeah, he was trolling. He was trolling.
So
What's up?
goofy.
What's up, Escalated? How you doing?
Hey, I don't have much to contribute, but I just want to say I worked with a girl who would say specifically, repeatedly in
Oh gosh,
conversation.
that would get very annoying. Yeah, that would get frustrating. It doesn't sound like your opposition, are you?
No,
Okay,
not at all.
let me go ahead and bring you back to the comments though. But thank you for that.
No problem.
All
I
right,
just wanted to share.
no, you're good. You're good. Take care. Okay. Incels have no friends. All right, guys. Once again, if you're in TikTok, hit the request button, and if you're on YouTube, call in onto the phone, please. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what that guy was talking about. My body, my choice. Eat what you want to. I agree.
Okay,
I agree. You should be able to
fine.
eat what you want to, but that doesn't mean you
Don't feed
can't.
it to children, though.
Well,
That's my big thing.
yes, yes. Number one, don't just feed anything you want to children. Be up to date on the research. When we're talking about raw milk here, please don't give them raw milk.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I think you should eat whatever you want, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be educated. This, like, I'm not telling you guys what to eat or how to eat. That's not what this is. I am just providing education. It is up to you whether you want to eat certain foods or not. It's not my place to tell you either way. Girl
Well,
Scout
that's the
cooking
whole
is
thing,
fuck.
right?
That sounds good.
Like,
Yeah.
I have a whole activity for my students on seed oils, right? Like, I provide them a bunch of sources. Some are scientifically credible, some aren't. And they have to figure this out based off of a meme that says seed oils are XYZ, right? And it's just
Hmm.
an AI generated meme, it's not real.
Right.
So, the whole point is you can fall for this kind of propaganda and in essence change your diet to a diet that might not be good for you.
For
Some
sure.
people are
Yeah.
inherently going to have high cholesterol, right? And if you
Uh-huh.
have high cholesterol, you should not be consuming a lot of saturated fats.
Hmm.
That's a problem. You can get, I mean, your heart can literally, you can have a heart attack from a coronary artery being blocked up. So this is why I tell my students, like, I don't care if you want to eat seed oils or not, but I want you to understand how credible sources work and how memes and random people on the internet can lie to your face and
Hmm.
totally change, like what we're seeing here with these two. I don't even know who
Yeah.
that other guy was in the forest, but the first guy sounded like, I'm fine, and and I don't want to listen to anything anybody has to say except unless they're validating me. That's not how research works.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, but the problem is, I don't think a lot of them know what proper evidence is, right? Like, I think a lot of them truly believe like memes are evidence or their own personal
Mhm.
story is evidence. And technically, your own personal story does constitute as anecdotal evidence, but anecdotal evidence is the lowest form of evidence. It holds very
Mhm.
little to no weight, and so we gotta like prioritize actual research and not one's lived experience.
Yeah, and that's why I want to send my students just out into the world with this knowledge. Again, if you like butter, cool, fine. If you don't, fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life, but I also want you to understand that you're not going to go around spreading misinformation
Hmm.
when you are, say, in a type of profession like my students go into, like becoming a physical therapist or a nurse, things like that. Things who people who look to and say, hey, you have a medical background. Should I trust what you say? Because we saw issues with that
Hmm.
during COVID.
Yep. A lot of people on YouTube do not like it that you have students. They,
That I have
it
students, is
oh,
it
it
because I'm an
really
indoctrinator?
yeah, it's triggering them. They think that you're indoctrinating them. Yeah.
Oh, way, I cry harder, random people on the internet. You don't like it? Become a professor and teach whatever you want to teach there, dear.
Yeah, but I think rather they just listen to some random person that they follow, and that's all they ever listen to. It seems.
Yeah, and they look at people like RFK Jr. and they see, oh, he's in shape, and it's like, cool, that's from TRT.
Yeah.
That's not from him like living his life on saturated fats.
Right. Right, and I think that's important to mention too. Just because somebody like visibly is in shape, number one, that doesn't for sure mean internally they are, and secondly, that doesn't mean that everything they did was the thing that got them in shape. They could have been in shape despite those things, right? Like there are people who look very fit externally, but they may smoke cigarettes, right? Or they may, whatever I'm saying. Like the point is, you have to look at you can't look at things as a whole as to what may be contributing to it, and I think that's the fallacy that they fall into, is that RFK says these things, he's in shape, therefore it must be because of those things.
Yeah, and I mean, I always I find bodybuilding fascinating. I don't do it myself, but I go to a gym where there are a lot of people, like Christopher Bumstead, for example, has been there, Nick Walker. I
Oh
just
yeah,
find them
that's cool.
fascinating with how, yeah, Chris, very nice guy, will talk to anybody. Nick, I don't think goes there anymore because he had a problem with the gym owner. Anyways, whole drama, gym
Yeah.
drama. But like I find it fascinating how their bodies can grow, right? To like
Oh yeah.
those sizes. It's
Uh-huh.
wild. But at the same time, that does not mean that their cardiovascular system is healthy. It does
Mm-hmm.
not mean that their liver is healthy. For the fact like a lot of them have to take liver enzymes to help their livers that have become
Because
massively
of
enlarged from HGH.
well, that and a lot of them take oral schmeroids, I guess I'll say, which are
Mhm.
very hard, which are very very hard on the liver. Um,
Mhm.
on average, you actually see pro bodybuilders unalive earlier than the average lifespan would be, because of all
Yeah.
the crap that they take. Now, I'm sure if you look at natural bodybuilding, I'd imagine they probably have a longer lifespan, um,
Yeah.
but
Which I
all the
learned
all
is like that they have a whole category of just natties, right? Like
yeah.
you get tested and then there's other categories where they're like, we're not gonna test you."
Well, there's tested and non-tested. Non-tested
Yeah.
is essentially the Schmeroid class, because if you're
Mm-hmm.
not tested, you're taking that, or you have to because everybody else is, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to do well if you're competing against others and you don't. What's up, Mickey? Mickey, are you there? Mickey, I don't think you meant to come up. I'll bring you down. Take care. Okay. Um, yeah. So again, people on the tube, I have the phone number there on screen if you want to call. Um, Pro bodybuilders look very jacked, but are they actually healthy? No, their blood pressure is always through the roof. Their heart and kidneys hate them. Well, Mr. Maple, yeah, I mean, oftentimes they do have high-ish blood pressure, pro bodybuilders, and they tend to have issues with other things. So yeah, it's just an
Yeah.
example. It's just an example of, just because you look a certain way, that doesn't mean uh, you are inherently healthy.
Right. And again, there's the genetic component behind it too. There are probably bodybuilders with like genetic high cholesterol,
Oh yeah, yeah.
genetic high blood pressure. Like
Mhm.
it's part of your DNA. Like you can't help that
Right.
either.
And you can do things to offset it or mitigate it, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you still may be battling it, and it still could be problematic. Like for example, my we have high cholesterol in my family, um,
Mm.
and that's something I have to be weary of. So like I specifically have to do things to offset that and to make sure that doesn't happen. So far, so good, but I'm still young.
Right. And it's like you said, you can have, you know, seed oils, you can have saturated. If you want to enjoy some bacon,
Hmm.
have at it. Just don't make it a habit to eat it like every day, multiple times
Hmm.
with other saturated fats. Like you can have both, but don't go around like misinforming people who need seed oils in their diet because maybe they have some underlying genetic condition.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
and
atherosclerosis. That's
this
another example. Yeah, like,
this person on YouTube says you must not know the process for processing seed oils. It's horrible. And there's a lot of misinformation surrounding that as well. I don't know if you're
And
familiar
I
with
want
what
them
they.
to tell me the difference between HDLs and LDLs and how they work.
Yeah, I think you're probably asking too much for them.
I
Uh,
I ask my students about it; they understand. But then again, they actually want to listen to me.
well, yeah, you have to have the
They're
want for it to
paying
occur.
for it anyways.
Sure. Yeah, again, in the comments, if you believe I'm misinforming people, it would be almost your moral obligation to come up and prove us wrong. Because if you truly think we're putting out misinformation that's going to harm people's health, I would imagine you would want to come on up and correct it. But I don't think you're going to do that.
I love the name Doug's BB girl. That's cute. But yeah, high density lipoproteins and low density lipoproteins and how they are able to carry different types of cholesterol. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. And again, the good versus the bad is their nicknames, right? Or the helpful and the bad is another one I've heard. Because
Yeah,
HDLs are helpful.
right. But I'd imagine there's still a limit to it, like because some people are under depression, the higher the better. But I'd imagine there's like an upper limit to what would be considered
Oh
good.
yeah. Like you want certain levels for everything, right? Like even
Right.
something like calcium. You don't want extremely high levels of calcium because it can mess with your pacemaker, right? Your sinoatrial node fires because of calcium ions. So too much calcium can be also detrimental to your health. Like everything has to be, I tell everyone we're Goldilocks species, right? We have to have everything just right because homeostasis likes everything just right.
Mm-hmm. Um, so, this is another one. It says, "Yeah, we need to ask why McDonald's French fries are packed with more chemicals than other countries." Again,
Mm,
you are going to have to name these said chemicals. You cannot just get away with saying chemicals, therefore bad, right?
yeah.
Like you're gonna have to tell specifically what chemical is making McDonald's worse here versus there. And I'm not even denying it. I just want you to know what you're talking about. And I'm not sure you're going to be able to elaborate on that.
Well, again, I'm like, there are so many things that are fall under the definition of what a chemical is, right?
Yeah.
Hormones, neurotransmitters, the proteins you make in your, like, those are all technically, by the definition, they are atoms that are chemically bound to one another to
Hmm.
form larger molecules. Like, I try to tell everyone this, all my students, I hate when you see certain words that have been demonized, right? Like chemical has now been demonized,
Big
artificial
time.
has been
Yeah.
demonized, and it's like, ugh.
It gets very annoying to combat. It gets incredibly annoying. Someone trying to
It
call?
does.
I don't think anyone's trying to call me right now. I didn't. I'm not getting a. Well, hold on. Oh wait, call back. My bad. Call back. Sorry, I didn't realize I was getting a call there. I don't think I can have anything else on my phone but the Google Voice. Call again. Whoever did, I apologize. That's weird that I didn't get it. Yeah, I got a call at 3:20, which would have been a minute ago, and then 3:12, and then 3:08. Huh.
Does it like not ring or alert you
I don't.
anyway?
Well, I guess I have to be on the app specifically because I also had TikTok pulled up on my phone, and I think. David, can you give me a quick call? I just want to make sure that it's working, and then I'm getting these calls. Or somebody call my number, please. Oh, here. Wait. No, that's a voicemail. Never mind.
Your LDL is 110. Does your doctor know?
Hold on.
Just saying. Who said that?
Hey, are you there?
Tommy.
Hey, sorry, I don't know what happened with the phone call. I just need to real quick. What is your age?
30.
Okay, and what is it that you disagree with that's on screen?
Well, I just kind of wanted to just talk to you about what your like thoughts on ICE and Trump and other topics that seem more important. And I don't really think that this milk thing is really as
Okay.
much of a deal as you're talking about.
Well, you can go to different. Yeah, you can go to a different live then if you want to talk about those topics. I'm doing.
I'm just trying to help you out. I mean, you got like 20 viewers. I'm just thinking if you were talking about like.
Why I
I
can stream what I want. I'll stream what I want. I appreciate the
so
the
can I
advice.
ask you a
Though.
question? Are you liberal? Because you look really liberal. You know what I mean? Like, do you believe men can be women?
Oh, Jesus.
Nobody believes men can be women, but
well,
that's not the
you don't
topic.
actually.
Yeah, that's not the topic though. Would you like to talk about the topic?
Okay, so yeah, okay. What about people that have really fast metabolisms and it doesn't really seem to matter what they eat? Like myself, for example, I'm like 5'10" and a half, 140 pounds.
Okay. Well,
So how do people with high metabolisms clear cholesterol out of their blood faster than someone who doesn't have a high metabolism?
But I also think. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't gain weight. It just simply means that your total daily energy expenditure is likely higher than your average person. But if you ate enough calories, you would still gain weight.
So you're for seed oils, and you're saying that other people are saying that it's really bad or whatever, right?
It's not that I'm for them. I am. I just don't think they should be demonized.
I don't either.
Okay. But a lot of people do believe that they are just like awful in any context, and we shouldn't be having them at all. I think
I don't know who's saying that. I mean, there's so many Ozempic, people that are like, I don't know, like, how do you feel about America and just, being considered all around the world as just being a fat nation, right?
Well, I mean, we certainly, on average, would be quote unquote fatter than I guess whatever the average country is.
Okay,
but we.
I guess my question would be, why are you covering the seed oil, butter, milk scenario over just overall health? I mean, wouldn't you want to just tell people not to eat fast food and processed meat and stuff like that, or processed food?
I think everybody
that's what
already
he does tell people, though.
Number one, I do, but I also think that's obvious. I think every single out of shape person, if you went to every single one of them, I think they all would acknowledge that yes, eating out or eating fast food is not good. Eating processed foods is not good. It's not a matter. It's not a matter of them not knowing.
Are you happy they changed the food table?
No, because I think it's you're talking about them flipping the food pyramid upside down.
Yeah.
Well, no.
So you think that like bread and noodles and all that stuff that should be your staple diet all day long, every day?
I mean, your neurons run off glucose, so there's that.
Well, there's that.
What is it? I'm sorry. I have a hard time hearing her.
Here, go ahead, Alex.
I was just saying your neurons run off of glucose. Like, they do prefer glucose to everything else. The idea about this new food pyramid, though, is it's emphasizing saturated fats and like red meats. And that is a problem because lots of, studies have been done. The American Heart Association clearly states that increasing red meat and saturated fats can lead to things like atherosclerosis, arterial sclerosis, coronary artery disease, myocardial infarctions, aka the heart attack. So that pyramid is kind of misleading. Yeah, you should have a balanced diet, but when you're putting saturated fats and red meat kind of front and center from a man who doesn't have any background in health, diets, food, science, anything like that. Like, he is an environmental lawyer telling people how he likes to eat, so everybody else should eat like him.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that it's pretty much kind of depends on the individual? Because what do you guys think about that thing where like certain blood types should avoid certain foods and things like that? You know what I'm talking about?
Was that debunked? The blood type diet? Wasn't that a thing for a while? I don't.
Yeah, it was for a little bit.
Sure.
I think it was
I've just
debunked.
recently been looking into it, and like for certain blood types, it says that a Mediterranean diet is good, and red meat may cause inflammation, and this, that, and the other.
What was that about red meat? You said? Sorry, I thought.
They say specific blood types should avoid certain foods, and some of them are like red meats and things like that. It says that the body.
The outcomes have not been examined, by the way, on the blood type diet. So while there's talking about this, but there's the association between blood type based dietary patterns and health outcomes has not been examined. So there's no actual like concrete evidence about eating for your blood type. At least I'm not finding any, unless you have any.
So it just kind of seems to me like it just really depends on the individual themselves. That some people can handle certain food parts and some people can handle others better. And that, I mean, why else would they assume that it has something to do with like something specific, like a blood type? If that person has problems or whatever, you could say it like the butter thing or whatever. What if it's somebody that has a real hard time not gaining a bunch of weight and it's like all fat? They shouldn't be eating a whole lot of butter, right? But if it's somebody that can eat a whole bunch of butter and be healthy, then what's the deal?
Well, like Doug was saying, there are people who smoke cigarettes all their life and never develop lung cancer. And then there are people who've never smoked a day in their life and they're diagnosed with lung cancer at like 50 years old. So you're right. Every body is different. What we are having a problem with is a man pushing these ideals against what all the research has said.
Yeah.
And he's got a habit of doing this, like with vaccines. Like now it's onto the diet.
Is that what?
Isn't that a story as long as time itself, that people are constantly doing that?
What, pushing misinformation?
Well, just, having a belief that something's, giving advice on things that could be helpful for some, but maybe not for others.
But
a belief is not evidence. It's not a fact.
Right.
A belief is something that you have internally. A fact is something outside of yourself. Like, it's a fact that my sunglasses are sitting in front of me. Like, that's not my opinion. It's not a belief. It's a fact. So facts and beliefs are different.
You don't think there's any outliers?
But that's not the point. Of course, there's always going to be outliers. But when you're in that position, you have to give advice and push out information that A, is factual, as she said, but B, applies to people on a macro scale. So, yes, there's outliers, but you have to give the information that's going to make the most amount of people the healthiest.
Do you guys think that big stuff is good?
I think in many scenarios it very much can be. I mean, objectively, people have lost a lot of adipose tissue. Their health has gotten better. I think part of the issue, though, is when people use it as a crutch, all right, to lose weight when they never tried to lose weight without it. You know what I mean? Like leaning on it rather than needing it.
Do you guys think that the push to get everybody the jab for COVID, do you think that was good?
Well, again, I think you should be able to make your own choice.
The pros outweighed the cons.
Yeah,
so
I do think
the research shows that.
Who was trying to mandate it?
The Biden administration.
How? Where?
No, they weren't.
There's no evidence of that.
They were trying to push it through OSHA. They were trying to have OSHA even require it.
OSHA?
What?
Yeah, they were trying to do it. They were trying to make it. I was working at a job that was considered essential work, working for Polaris Industries, building four-wheelers and side-by-sides, and just because we had a military contract, we were considered essential workers. And the Biden administration was trying to pass a mandate through OSHA that it would have been required to have a COVID vaccine. So they were trying to make it a mandatory thing for our whole entire nation.
Okay. I found what you're talking about. So yes, the U.S. Supreme Court blocked enforcement of OSHA's COVID-19 emergency temporary standard mandating that employers with 100 or more employees have employees vaccinated and undergo weekly testing. So they are trying to reduce the spread of a contagious respiratory virus when you have more than 100 or more employees. Like my husband during that time, he was in maintenance at a distribution center for Walgreens, and he did get vaccinated because that building, which is like 4 stories tall, has hundreds of employees running through it. So what they are doing is they're trying to stop the strain on our healthcare system, which there was a huge problem with hospitals, PPE, people quitting, people getting burnt out. So they were just trying to reduce that issue. Now, it did get turned down it got blocked by the U.S. Supreme Court. But it was strongly encouraged afterwards. So again, there wasn't like a force, but I can see why they would want to do this because, again, a highly contagious respiratory virus in a building with hundreds of people who go home at the end of the day to more people. I can see why they were wanting to do that. The same way that they give nurses the flu shot every year, because those individuals are working with compromised people and going home to loved ones. So bringing home the flu or COVID, you know, could be detrimental to their family.
But wasn't it a relatively like new vaccine that didn't have very much like data?
It wasn't relatively. It did happen rather fast, and Donald Trump did call it Operation Warp Speed, you know, gave it the appropriate name, I will say. However, mRNA vaccine studies were being looked at for a while because we discovered like mRNA way back in the day, what it is, what it does, what our cells use it for. So they were working with this technology for a while, and wanting it to be kind of the next evolution in vaccines.
From my understanding, is it's the first vaccine that it was a synthetic, you know, that got pushed out.
It's how is it synthetic though? How is it synthetic when your body literally makes mRNA all the time? Your body recognizes mRNA.
Okay.
Hey, one quick thing. Hold on. One quick thing. Guys on YouTube, is there an echo at all? I just want to. Is there an echo coming from Alex when she speaks? Let me know in the YouTube
It
comments.
might be for me in my office.
No, you're good. I think there may be an echo because it's being pushed out twice to them. I just want to make sure that I have this set up right so there's no echo. Let me know, guys. Anyways, we can continue with what.
Can I ask you? You had mentioned that strain on the healthcare system. So if they're so concerned about a strain on the healthcare system, why did they let in, you know, possibly as many as 20 million people from a foreign country that some of them had never even been to a clinic before in their entire life?
Well, you're trying to pivot to a completely different topic, which you said a lot of things that were incorrect.
We brought up the healthcare system.
I understand, but now you want to get to immigration.
I brought up the healthcare system during COVID, which, by the way, Donald Trump was president during COVID. So did all those people come in during his administration?
Hey Tommy, thank you for the $1 on the green app that starts with a C. Hold on. I gotta read this out loud. Tommy, thanks for the $1 on the green app that starts with a C. It says, the booster gave me an extra 3 inches. Ew.
Where?
Oh, I guess it depends where. Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate it. Tommy in the comments.
Right? Where it counts.
All right, man.
Where it counts.
Yeah, so let's try to say I don't want to pivot to immigration because that's a completely different topic.
Okay. Do you guys like Trump, or do you guys think he's a good president?
No, not at all. I don't.
No.
See, I think he's the greatest president ever because, you know, it's the first time ever that we've gotten somebody that's not a politician, you know, going into
But he is a politician. He's been a politician for 10 years.
He was president back in 2016. He's a politician.
So
right, but I'm saying before that, you know what I mean?
Well, okay, well, before anybody's a politician, they're not a politician.
True.
Also, is that a good thing to have someone with zero experience come in and literally be the president of an entire country with zero experience? I like people with experience.
Okay, but that's kind of crazy because you know dang well that all of these politicians that have been, you know, career in Congress, in the House, all that, what are they really doing to help us? I mean, they go in, they have a net worth of like $65,000, and within a few years, they've got millions and millions of dollars.
Well, but
are you talking about Donald Trump? Because the last I checked, he's making bank.
He's made billions since being in office.
Take a salary.
But hey, if you're going to criticize somebody making 60-something thousand going to millions, he was worth $1 billion. And now he's at like 7 trillion.
He's always been wealthy.
So then it's okay but he has made billions in office. You're being completely.
Would you agree that if you have money, it's a lot easier to make money?
So you're justifying his corruptness while others are not okay.
I'm not justifying his corruptness. I don't even know what you're talking about his corruptness.
But you're suggesting that certain politicians are corrupt because they making money, but him making money doesn't make him corrupt.
So you guys don't believe in like insider trading and stuff like that?
No one's. Obviously, we're not for that. I don't care if you're a Democrat, or Republican.
Are you talking about Pelosi?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Pelosi? I don't like her either. We hate her too.
Yeah, I don't like Pelosi. I don't like Chuck Schumer. I don't like any of these people.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
But I don't like anybody that
But
makes
it's
money
like-
unethically, and that would include Trump.
I've heard he's making a lot of money on some Bitcoin type stuff. And this
Yeah,
family is,
right, and he has
but he's refusing.
right, but it's
He's not taking your salary.
but you're scamming. Who gives a shit if you're not? You're acting like that's some noble thing. That's the
He's the
equivalent.
first president to ever do that.
That you're acting like that's a noble thing. Hold on. Him not taking $400,000 would be the equivalent of somebody making $80,000 not taking like $1. It means nothing. You're acting like it would be one. Hold on. It would be one. It would be one thing if his net worth was like 200,000 and he didn't take the 400,000. That would be incredibly noble. He's worth billions.
That's crazy. I think that's crazy because at the end of the day, it's still $440,000.
But that in relation to what he's worth is the equivalent of you not taking dollars. It means nothing.
$440,000 taxpayer dollars, man.
But it's still being spent. It's not that he's not taking it. And if you care about taxpayer dollars, why is he suing them and getting $10 billion from them of taxpayer dollars?
People need to be held responsible. But so, is
But
there
that-
anything positive about him that you can say? Because I struggle to find people that don't like Trump that can have anything positive to say. Can you at least acknowledge anything that he's done well?
During his first term, there was the Mission Act. I don't think he really had anything to do with it, but it got passed under him. That helped veterans.
The Abrams Accords.
What about it?
He brought peace to the Middle East.
Why? But there's not peace in the Middle East. If there was peace in the Middle East, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
He brought a lot of nations together. Abu Dhabi, he brought so many countries together, and then has helped people. So that we're getting a little bit off from the original question.
We are.
Is there any? Okay, you did say something that he did in his first term. His first term, he struggled to do very much at all because he was constantly being tried for this, that, and the other, and then so.
Wait, but hold on. If he's getting tried for things, maybe he shouldn't be doing bad things. You're acting like he's getting tried for no reason. Don't do illegal things.
Do a single thing without people claiming that it's bad. I mean,
Well, then don't do it then. Don't rape somebody, and then you won't get found civilly liable of raping somebody. It's not that hard to not rape somebody. Just don't fucking be an asshole.
Wasn't it
Seriously,
like maybe he groped her or something with his hand or something?
No, what happened was that he she didn't know what was forcibly inserted inside her was his fingers or his thing down there, which is a little odd not odd that she can tell, but to him that it's a little not good for him. But regardless, that's great. That's raping somebody.
So do you guys like J.D. Vance?
No, I don't like his views at all.
Also, I feel really bad for his wife. The more I learn about that woman, oh my gosh, she was so brilliant, and now she's been reduced to what she's been reduced to. It's so sad.
He seems to have some pretty wholesome, family-oriented.
He's a liar. He lied. He's not even from like the Rust Belt Appalachia that he claims to be from. He's not even from there. He's a liar. He tries to pretend like he's this salt of the earth guy from the Rust Belt. He's not even from there. His book is a lie. Hillbilly Elegy is a lie.
So, but Newsom doesn't lie or anything, right?
I don't like Newsom. You're acting like I'm defending anybody with a D next to their name. I don't like him. He's too much of a corporate Democrat.
But don't you have to admit that we have a choice sometimes? Like, our choice was either Trump or Kamala Harris. We had that choice.
Well, if you're going to call her Kamala Harris...
Why are you being derogatory towards her? She didn't do anything wrong. What's scam?
Well, a scam to the United States of America that she was,
Okay, so you don't have anything. So you just were being nasty to a woman of color, by the way. For no reason.
Can you prove she scammed anybody?
You just brought up a really great point. Okay, so...
But don't call somebody a scammer if you don't have evidence of it. It just means that you're frivolously criticizing somebody for no reason.
I truly believe that she was trying to scam our nation and get its power so that...
But you don't have any evidence
Again,
of
a
that. Those are your
belief isn't a
feelings.
fact.
Those are your feelings.
A belief is not a
But
fact.
you brought up the race. Your friend brought up the racist thing or whatever. Don't you believe
I
that
sure
black
did.
people are racist towards white people?
No.
You don't believe black people are racist towards white people?
No. You can't be racist towards white people.
No.
You can be
You can't be racist towards white people. What kind of comment? What kind of?
you can be you can
ideology-
discriminate somebody. You can be discriminatory towards white people, but you cannot be racist towards white people. But I'm not going to have this conversation. I'm not going to have this conversation unless we have somebody of color on the panel, because I don't like to talk about these
Agreed.
topics unless somebody part of that community is here. So I'd rather not talk about that one.
That's ridiculous. You can't talk about something unless you have. You can't.
Because none of us have enough melanin to talk on it, my guy.
I don't have the lived experience when it comes to that to speak. I can speak on things, but I'd rather have somebody who has the lived experience to speak towards it, because they would be more knowledgeable on the topic, and I don't want to push out misinformation.
I don't have the lived
I agree.
experience of walking on the moon, but I can still speculate that it was fake.
Well,
You
then,
will never. Are you?
Then this is.
You will never know what
Hold on,
it's like to live as a black person.
Hold on.
Why is
You
he
didn't
acting
hear
like
what he
he
just
can?
said. He just insinuated the moon landing was fake. So
Oh Jesus!
this just any credibility you had up until this point is all gone.
Okay, well, but it seems just crazy that you
Is he a flat
talk
earther?
about something without a black person in the panel to talk about.
What I find to be odd is that not every Republican is a moon landing denier, but every moon landing denier seems to be conservative. It's odd. I've never met a moon landing denier that is left leaning ever.
Do you guys like Joe Rogan?
Not particularly.
No.
I think he's awesome. I don't think he would have the aspirations to do it, but I think he would make a good run for president.
Well, that's
No.
problematic.
We don't need any more reality TV show hosts as
Yeah.
presidents. Thanks. Pass.
Wasn't that awesome how Trump was in like the WWE that one time?
No.
I think that's
No.
cool.
No.
He's such a businessman.
Vince McMahon's a pile of garbage, just like his wife.
Well, if he's such a businessman, why did he raise the debt in his first term higher than any other president in history?
Well, he was being battled on every single thing he was trying to do.
What does that have to do with raising the debt?
It's not like you have just an.
What-
It's not that he can just.
Then he's not a good businessman.
The processes to go
But then
through.
he's not a good businessman if he can't handle criticism and pushback. That's a him problem, and that has nothing to do with him raising the debt.
I don't think that's a legitimate argument to have that he's not a good businessman. I think that
He's
he doesn't
not.
talk about proof or
It's
whatever.
there's
He's
actual
not
facts
proven.
behind that.
Does a
Several
good businessman
bankruptcies.
raise the debt of a company higher than any other CEO?
Well, it could be some wormhole, loophole, cooking the books type of thing.
Really? So everything that he does that's bad is an excuse. Isn't that very convenient? But isn't it convenient that every time I point out something bad about Trump, you push it off as some sort of excuse or some bullshit reason?
I'm just asking a question. I'm just kind of wondering.
Okay, but maybe he raised the debt because he's not good at what he does. Is that a possibility?
It is, I suppose. But another possibility is that he couldn't help it either. That it was out of
Oh
his
God,
control. I
he
mean,
couldn't help it.
when you can't just, he's not a dictator. He can't just say, well, this is how it's going to be, and I'm going to change all this. He still has certain channels he's got to go through in order to get things.
Hold on. There's some
You mean
idiot
like the
in
tariff situation?
there's some idiot in the comment section that number one believes Trump hasn't raised the debt. How stupid do you have to be? It takes 2 seconds to look that up. And he also says not being able to take criticism is a good thing. That's awful. If you cannot take criticism, that means you have no ability to look at yourself. No, I know, but it's a good trait of somebody if you can take criticism, look at yourself internally, and realize that there's something that you can change. If you cannot take criticism, I think it's a really horrible trait to have about yourself.
Well, can I kind of turn
It
that
stunts
back
your
on
growth,
you?
not
You
being
were
able to
denying
change based on
talking
criticism.
about anything to do with race just because you didn't have a black person in the panel or something.
Yeah, it's just
Because we don't have that perspective.
right. It's just my thing that I don't want to talk about it because I don't have that lived experience. You can talk about it with other people. I don't want to.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's
So,
fine.
what?
I just kind of was trying to help out your views or whatever in this milk thing. I was kind of surprised when I came across your live and you're still talking about this thing or whatever, because it kind of seems to me like, there's a lot more topics that people seem to be a lot more willing to debate that seem like, more relevant than just milk thing or whatever. I don't know. I think the milk thing is cool, whatever. I would say fat people shouldn't drink whole milk, Let's go ahead and say that,
Jesus.
Fat people probably also shouldn't be, going out to Dairy Queen or Burger King and eating all that either, So there are things that we could easily agree on. But sometimes I like talking to people like you because sometimes, like anti-Trumpers, they're so deranged that we can't even agree on one thing.
Really?
And the same with people that believe that men can be women, which I'm really glad that you
I don't know
believe that.
anybody.
Oh my
There's not a
God, it's
single
not a
person that
belief.
there's not a single person that I know that believes men can be women. You don't even understand the argument. That's the problem.
Right.
That's
Well,
but it
my
doesn't
point
seem
was-
like you're taking what I'm saying. No trans person or people that support trans people believe that men can be women. That's not a belief.
Okay, I was trying to correlate people that do believe that men can be women.
Nobody
and
does.
Trumpers.
Nobody believes that.
Well,
And also, if you're going to correlate something, you better bring some evidence, my guy.
People that believe that.
No. Again, it's really problematic that you don't even know their point of view. Do you think gender and sex are different, or do you think they're the same?
I think they're the same.
Really? So all males are men and all men are males.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my 5-year-old niece, he's a male. He's a man?
Who?
My 5-year-old niece is a man.
Well, he'd be a boy, a male. Yeah.
Well, he's not a man, he's a boy.
A niece, no,
Mhm.
a female.
Nephew, I meant. I'm sorry. My nephew, so I'm sorry. He's not a man, right?
Well, yeah, he's got everything it takes to be a man. Yeah.
But he's not. He's a boy.
But he's not.
Yeah, he's just not very well developed. Yeah.
But he's not a man. He's a boy. You would never call them that. And my niece, for that matter, if you think all females are women, all women are females, you would think my 8-year-old niece is a woman.
Yeah, I mean,
That's disgusting if you think that.
That gives me the ick.
Like my little man,
But they're not. And I'm going to give you an example of another male that's not a man. A dog, a male dog, is that a man?
I was going to bring up my cat, Steven. He's a male, and he's still intact. We got to get those things snipped.
Specifically talking about like the human race.
But, okay, great. So you understand that gender is different than sex. Inherently, it's different. Because if no male or female dogs are men or women, and it only applies to humans, clearly gender is different.
Well, no, it's specific to the
Cat's the medical doctor.
No, so a dog, a male dog can be a female dog. Okay, we know that. Whatever.
Yeah. No.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but my thing is my point I was trying to make is that I meet people and like even though you're saying that nobody believes that men can be women, I've had arguments with people that do believe.
No, they don't. I'm going to tell you what they believe. They believe some males are women and some females are men or girls or boys, but they don't believe men can be women. I just want to make sure you understand the proper argument because you're being disingenuous and saying it incorrectly.
The problem with that is that we're a little bit out of touch with our language here because our language would insinuate that a man or a male, it's just simply, a biological man, biological male, whatever.
But see, you're confusing biology with like sociology.
Yeah. And again, we've already sort of acknowledged that gender and sex are different. Like they're correlated. I think we'd all agree on that, but they're clearly not the same thing.
Okay. Can I ask you guys another question? Do you guys believe in God?
I do not personally.
No.
See, that's who I believe the problem is kind of stemmed from.
No, that's not a problem. You don't need to tell us what a problem is. I'm Episcopalian. I was baptized Episcopalian. I went to mass. I did confession. I did the whole thing. I don't believe in God, and I'm allowed to have that belief.
In society, the problem in society with people, if our
I don't need a book. I don't need a
Well, I'm
book
just
to tell
saying,
me how to
if
be a
we're
good
gonna
human being.
if we're gonna rewrite language all of a sudden, even though it's
We're
been
not.
since the beginning of time.
Wait, what are we rewriting? What are we rewriting?
Well, this idea that someone that I would consider a man doesn't necessarily have to be a man or something like that.
But that's not anything where we are rewriting. Definitions change with time. They've always changed with time.
Words evolve.
The nephew, is he a man? I would say, yeah, he is.
So my niece, you're telling me my 8-year-old niece is a woman?
My 10-year-old son
that is
a
absolutely
man.
disgusting that you believe
That's
that.
weird.
You because you believe in 8-year-old female is a woman.
Well, I believe that it's just a matter of time, right?
But she's not a woman now.
I'm not calling her a grown woman.
But she's not even a young woman. She's a girl.
Right. I'm just saying.
So she's not a woman.
If we can't. Well, but to me, a girl and a woman are the same thing. A girl may be like a.
They shouldn't be considered the same thing in your mind.
Why a toddler and adult are different. A toddler and adult are different, just as a girl and a woman is different.
Right, but I mean, they still withhold. I mean, give it time, and that toddler is going to be a man or a woman.
Sure, but they're not in the current moment.
Right.
So not all. Great. So not all females are women.
Well, I'm just saying that I would disagree with that.
But you're not. But you're not disagreeing with it because you acknowledge there are girls and boys. Therefore, not all males and females are men and women.
Okay, I can see what you're saying there, but I mean, isn't that like saying the color blue isn't blue when it okay?
No.
Example.
No, but here's one for you. I'm gonna be a corpse someday. Do I call myself a corpse every day that I get up? Say, oh, look at this lovely corpse. No, why are you thinking as like, well, someday there'll be something? That's weird. We live in the now.
Right, but that's a little bit different, the corpse thing. And
no, it's not different. You're talking about my body.
You're talking about something that she will be at some point, but you're not calling her that thing. But you're calling a boy a man because there'll be a man at some point. You're not being logically consistent.
Do you think they have some man characteristics to them already? Like manly characteristics already?
But they're not a man.
My 10-year-old son doesn't look like a man. He looks like a 10-year-old boy.
I'm not saying necessarily looks, but feels and things like that. Like
feels? What the fuck does that mean?
Like, I'm saying, like boys love to go out and get, play in the mud and screw around.
My son doesn't play in the mud. He actually enjoys model trains.
Like cars, okay, like Jordan Peterson, for example.
Oh God, not him.
What about him?
Well, for one, I hope he gets better soon. Prayers for him and his family.
Oh.
For two, I believe that he would say that a boy is still a man, because like my example why I brought him up is it's no.
He says a lot of things that I don't listen to.
Okay, but Jordan Peterson is not a source. And again, not all males are men and are men, and not all females are women. Because I gave you an example of a dog. A male dog is not a man. So therefore, gender is only specific to humans. No other creatures, no other animals have gender.
Okay, but if it's true that males are interested into things and like
stop quoting Jordan Peterson. Stop quoting him.
That's a social construct. That's a social construct. You're saying that boys should like blue and girls should like pink. Who put that idea out there? Who put that idea that boys should like mud and girls like dolls? Who put that into motion?
Well, they did, because that's not inherent. That is societal based. All we're trying to say is that gender and sex are different. There is a correlation. I would never disagree with that, but they are different.
Okay. And you're against children having puberty blockers and stuff like that?
No.
Do you know what precocious puberty is? Do you know what precocious puberty is?
No, I don't.
Okay, precocious puberty is when pubescence begins way too early. Like, think of a young girl, like 8 years old, starting to develop secondary sex characteristics and menstruation. That's called precocious puberty. So, what they can use to stop that temporarily is called a puberty blocker.
You know, those puberty blockers are
They
given
can
to
take
cancer
her off
treatment.
of it.
Okay.
What?
And so that's
But
seems really
it's
rich
almost
to me.
like you didn't listen to her, though. It's almost like you were just
You
waiting to
didn't.
speak.
Okay.
Giving away all my
That's-
knowledge for free.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt. My thing is, though, I'm so anti puberty blockers because they're causing mad damage to anybody that takes
No,
them.
they're not.
And then
Did
I
you
think you
not
need to
listen
provide
what I
evidence of
just
that.
said?
I think you need to provide evidence of that.
Okay. It seems rich to me. You guys are talking about some health thing with milk and stuff like that, but then you think that it's a good idea to give puberty blockers to children?
No. Again,
But,
it depends. It's in very rare situations that they need puberty blockers, right? It's not just
Doug.
giving. What? What's up?
I was gonna say he's totally wrong, by the way. Puberty blockers don't do damage, but precocious puberty can actually do damage, like cause intense emotional distress, long-term risks to metabolic, cardiovascular, and cancer conditions. It also accelerates bone maturation, which results in shorter height. So actually, precocious puberty is a bad thing, and the treatment of puberty blockers is a good thing.
Right.
You don't understand how the science works, and don't talk on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking up a little bit here why puberty blockers are dangerous, and I've got a whole list of things here.
But hold on. Every medication.
Psychological and social impacts.
Okay, but you're not
physical
taking.
effects.
Okay, but if you look at radiation and chemo, they have horrible side effects. But that outweighs the thing it's treating, right? Certainly, getting those horrible side effects from chemo and radiation beats having cancer. Now, in the rare situation that some kids need puberty blockers, those side effects outweigh the thing that it's being treated, and it's very rare. And these doctors are the ones that make that decision when it's needed. It's not just a random person giving it to them.
Okay, so permanent infertility, that's not damaging.
Again, we have to compare it to what is being treated, right? So with precocious puberty, the minimal side effects that one gets from these things outweigh the issues of precocious puberty. And again, you and I are not doctors. I don't know why you think that you know what's best to treat people. These people have gone to school for years.
Hey, I'm not claiming that I'm right about anything. I'm just simply having a
You're
debate
not.
with you.
But I think it's important to keep in mind that like people who are far more intelligent and knowledgeable than us clearly have a better idea of knowing when these things are needed versus not.
If you have a high threshold of trust in people, I mean, myself personally, I struggle to trust any of our systems, clinical, police, educational.
But that's your problem. That's not
I
a
know.
parent's problem. When they have a child at 8 years old who is menstruating, they take them to their pediatrician, and that is where the work begins to help make sure that this child isn't experiencing precocious puberty at the age of 8.
So it says here, though, that suppressing these hormones can lead to reduction in bone mineral density, potentially increasing the risk of osteoporosis and fractures later in life.
Okay,
where is that source from?
Yeah, well, yeah, where is that from, for one?
I just did AI mode on Google.
Okay. What did you type in exactly? Did you type in the side effects of puberty blockers? Did you type in the pros of puberty blockers? Because
Right.
if you just type in one thing, you're going to get that one thing and not the other argument.
Right. So let me read the side effect.
What I did specifically was puberty blockers. Why are they harmful?
But it's in
So-
comparison to what it's treating. You're not just giving it to a healthy person for no reason. You're giving it to somebody who has I don't know if it's a disorder, disease, or whatever you want to call it, that has a lot of problems. And again, let me read the side effects of chemo and radiation. We have severe fatigue, nausea, diarrhea, hair loss. What else do we have? Low blood pressure, low blood cell, or lower blood cell count, red blood cell count. You have the increase of infection and bruising. Let's see. You also can get peripheral neuropathy. You can get changes in taste and smell.
Mhm.
Don't you think
Low
chemotherapy-
fibrosis, targeted organ damage, right?
Okay, but can't you agree that there's a big difference between somebody that's got terminal cancer and somebody that's got gender
dysphoria.
Yes, sir.
Well, but again, the point of it is that when you have cancer, unfortunately, sometimes you need something that's very harmful to combat it. Now, when it comes to gender dysphoria, this is only in severe cases. It's not given often, by the way, but they are given these things because the side effects of gender dysphoria could be killing yourself, and you don't want people to kill yourself. Yeah, what's
But
up?
statistics say that people.
I actually have to go. I have class, but Dr. Jace is in the comments.
Oh yeah, you can call.
Dr.
Yeah.
Jace is Green Valkyrie. If you want to bring
Oh,
him
you're
up.
Green Valkyrie. Sorry, I didn't know that was you. Yeah, come on up. That's cool.
I gotta go.
All right, Alex. Great having you. What's up,
Later,
Dr.
Alex.
Jace? I didn't know that was you. My bad.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
So I just want to level set with where we're talking about with puberty blockers. We have more than one that we use, but what you're negating to mention is that when any medication is given, there's always side effects, and if we know a particular side effect is common and it's something that we need to address in the process of treatment, we give additional medications to combat those side effects. So when we're looking at hormone replacement therapy, and this applies not just to transgender individuals, but women who take testosterone blockers for PCOS or that are pre or perimenopausal, we give medications to prevent or slow demineralization of the bones because we know those medications do those things. So if it were to be determined by the full team of a child's care team that they needed to be on puberty blockers for any reason, they would also be given medication to help stabilize their system and prevent the demineralization of their musculoskeletal system.
Can the doctor hear me here?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a pretty important question here. So I recently came across this DNA sequencing, which apparently when you have it done, it shows what drugs will work for certain people, what drugs won't, because we all know that when you go to the clinic and you get prescribed a drug, they say, well, this works well with a lot of people, so we're going to try it on you. Why isn't it a common practice nowadays to have the DNA sequencing done? I feel like they could get rid of a lot of,
we would love that. We would love that. I recommend it to my patients all the time. The standard that I use is what we call Clarity X. The problem is the insurances don't pay for that, and it's about $400 out of pocket to the patient, and people don't want to pay the money for it.
But you definitely recommend that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I recommend it all the time.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to have that done here this spring.
Everybody should have it done.
So, but if the problem is that it's not covered by insurance, isn't that something that we could maybe work towards doing? If it's so beneficial towards the people that have it done, why is it?
Absolutely. I write recommendations for that all the time and encouraging insurance companies to cover it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the system, I feel like they would do a lot better because from my understanding is, for one example, is that somebody may be given an antidepressant, but it doesn't do anything for them. But if they would have had that DNA sequencing, they would have known that automatically what would work for them and what wouldn't.
Right. It also applies to ADHD meds, antipsychotics, most antibiotics, and some antivirals. It's a very extensive list.
Sure. So that would be something that would be good. Also, does anybody remember when Trump was campaigning for this 2024 election? I remember they were talking about that they were going to ban advertising for these pharmaceutical companies. I really wish they would have followed up on that. It seems like a fake promise that they made.
I mean,
yep. I wish they would too.
Yeah.
Specifically, J.D. Vance on, I believe it was Rogan, and then also RFK Jr. was saying that they were going to look into, banning drug companies from advertising on, whatever, whether it's TV or radio or whatever.
Easier said than done.
They absolutely should. Patients self-diagnose off of those commercials, and then you get people coming into my office thinking that they have juvenile arthritis and they're 90. No kidding. There's just, you don't have juvenile arthritis at 90. But it's stuff they see it on television. They go, I have those symptoms, so I must have this disease, and now I need this medication. And it's simply not the case. They all that shit needs to be off. People need to stop using WebMD. They don't need to be. I don't even like it when patients search through PubMed. While it's a better source of information, the fact is, if you don't know how to read a scientific study, you're only making things worse for yourself. It's best left for individuals who spend a lifetime reading those things.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, and I mean it's a problem in their advertising too, because they often end it with, "Ask your doctor about this. Ask your doctor about that."
Yep.
Yep.
I don't even like it when drug reps are in the office while a patient's there. They have to come after or before. I don't let drug reps anywhere near my patients.
But yeah, that's a big problem. One of the many issues that we have with healthcare in our country.
Yeah, it's too bad that they don't try to fix it or whatever. It seems like the thing the go-to thing that everybody does is just say, well, we need more money to dump into it without any showing of accountability where the money is going. Or like, for a perfect example is our educational system. It's been continuously going down in a downward trend.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we just keep pumping more and more and more money into it. So obviously the money's not working. If it was, we'd have some results. Why is it that there's no accountability for claiming that, oh, we need more money because our system is failing, and then the system continues to fail even though way more money gets dumped in? It's the same, same thing with clinical, with the hospitals too, it seems like. They just need more money without any results.
When we talk about these things, I find it to be a little ironic because I do agree with a lot of people on the right who have issues with the pharmaceutical industry and healthcare in general. I think the issue ends up being capitalism at the end of the day. And it's weird because people on the right get so close to the actual source of the problem, but then they say, oh no, capitalism's good. Yet everything you're criticizing is about capitalism.
What do you feel about
healthcare should be free?
I saw last night that they had mandatory shutdown, that people would be arrested if they were driving out in New York City because of the snow last night, because of this communist mayor.
Who's a communist?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, isn't that crazy?
No, who is a communist?
Mamdani.
What's communism?
Well, let me go ahead and get the
No. If you call somebody something, you should know what it means. What is communism?
Well, it's the belief that big government should control everybody's life. Government should have the
Nope. Already wrong. Way wrong, actually.
No.
Like incredibly wrong.
That's a standard process of communism.
It's actually not. The moment you mention government, you're already wrong. There is no government involved in communism.
That's not true.
It's a stateless, classless, moneyless society. By definition, government wouldn't be there. You have been misled, unfortunately.
What you're comparing it to is you're associating the Soviet Socialist Republic of Russia, where they claimed portions of communism, but that Russia was a socialist republic, which is not communism. And Cuba had the same thing. They were also not communist, even though they were called that. They were also a socialist republic. True communism has no governmental form. All of the power lies with individual areas and citizens that live in those areas. There is no government.
Right. So Mamdani is not a communist, nor is he even a socialist. You're just using these words frivolously because I don't think you know what they mean, and you just think they're bad things, so you just call them that.
in my defense, I just think of King Jong Un, and I think of Xi Jinping, and I think of Putin.
Okay,
And we're often referring to them as communists. And then what I see in that is just big government. Government has all the power. They control the people. They tell the people what they're gonna do, how much money they have, stuff like that. So I couldn't see where, I'm looking up right now the definition of communism, and I see where that has nothing to do with big government. But the misconception that I have, I suppose, is just all of these leaders that we refer to as communists, that they all have that in common.
But
that they've got a big military and a big government that controls all of the money, and then they tell their citizens what they can and can't do.
Well, that's a dictator, but that's what a dictator is. You're confusing the two. And again, Mamdani, I want to keep going back to him. He's a democratic socialist, which is not at all the same as a socialist. Even though the word is in there, a democratic socialist is very different than a socialist, let alone being a communist. I just want to make sure we call somebody what they are and not something else.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But what do you think about them shutting down the ability to drive? Because isn't that unconstitutional? Doesn't everybody have the freedom to move freely, bring their belongings, and to travel?
Listen, man. I don't live in New York. I don't know exactly what is and is not happening. I don't know. I can't necessarily speak to it, so because I don't know all the details of it. But that's not. But that's. But I want to make sure. I want to make it stated that that's not a very uncommon thing that happens. That's happened before with other people. That's a relatively common thing when it comes to big storms. We see that when, in fact, we see that here. I live in Florida. When there's a bad hurricane coming, DeSantis says that we can't go to certain areas and we can't move. We can't go out of the house. He says that. He's not a socialist nor a communist. That's just something that they do.
I thought that was unconstitutional.
Well, no, because there are certain mandates you have to have in order to protect the citizens.
But isn't it
in a state of emergency
right to prosperity and freedom and all that, as long as they don't infringe on others?
I don't think you would necessarily go to jail though if you did those things. They're just they're mandates in the sense of I guess a high suggestion, but I don't believe you'd go to jail if you did it.
Well, they're looking at is a state of emergency, and it's a matter of public safety. And then when that happens, the local authorities have the right to make certain mandates to protect the general public. If that means restricting the movements of everybody, they can. It's the reason we have things like shelter in place during endemics, pandemics, quadremics, and the like, major disasters and things. We don't want people traveling on the open highway when there's 10 inches of snow and they could swirl off and not only harm themselves but others. It's a matter of safety in a state of emergency.
But this is supposed to be the land of the free. We're supposed to be free to travel or move if we want to. It does. The problem I see in that too is that if that's okay, then let's say somebody gets into power that wants to just close everything down because they're gonna destroy the United States of America. We all know dang well how many people run for power and they claim or government jobs and they claim that America's a terrible place, that we're just colonizers and that we're
we are colonizers.
Well, what else would we be? I mean, that's what we did when.
Well, we aren't.
Well,
we didn't do any colonizing.
Okay. Well, you and I specifically, no. I'm just saying that's what happened, though. We did colonize. We, as in a society. I mean.
Yeah, but that's like saying the whole thing about white people being slave owners or whatever. Not that black people didn't own slaves, because we all know that they did and stuff like that. But then when, for reparations, for example, when people are saying, "Oh, we deserve reparations," it's like, sorry, I didn't have any slaves. You weren't a slave. Well, why would you get reparations if you weren't a slave and if we didn't have slaves?
Well, okay. So first of all, everything you just said is incredibly rooted in white supremacy, and it's a talking point we've heard a million times. Not one point in American history has the black community ever held the power dynamic in this country, ever. And the reason that systemic racism continues in this country is because the power dynamic has remained in the hands of the white public. And that is the way it is, whether we like it or not. And when they make claims to reparations, it's because that systemic racism has persisted beyond the point of slavery to different forms of enslavement. And just because they're not in chains anymore does not mean their communities are still not enslaved by white policy. And that is why they deserve reparations.
I thought Charlie Kirk debunked that right away by saying that Asians have been here for far less time than African Americans, and they're thriving. They're doing super well. African Americans, we've done so many programs to try to help them constantly, and they can't help themselves, right? It's a cultural problem, right?
Wait, hold on though. You're talking about two very different things, man. You're talking about very different things of a group of people that were slaves for centuries, right? And even after that,
white people were slaves too, man.
When were they slaves within America?
Well, I don't exactly know, but I mean, shit, you could argue to the day that there's currently white slaves, in the sex trade and all that.
But I do want to acknowledge that slavery is still legal in the U.S. per the 13th Amendment, by the way.
I'm not sure, but it was only 100.
No, it's not that I'm not. It's not that we're not sure. If you look at the 13th Amendment, slavery is still legal. So it's not that it's illegal. I want to make that very clear.
I've never heard of anybody having slaves.
We would have to go into the penal system to talk about it, but it's except as a punishment for a crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, meaning technically in jail or in prison you can be that would constitute as slavery. But that means slavery, right? But slavery is still legal then.
Sure. Well, I mean, it was only 140 years ago that the U.S. government was giving bounties for scalps of Native men, women, and children. Only 140 years ago they were doing that.
What's the point? So we owe Native reparations
too. Stuff really bad done. I mean, look at the Trail of Tears from the Jefferson days.
Yeah. We owe them reparations too. We literally threw them on the worst possible pieces of land.
It wasn't us. We didn't do it.
No, we do. You need to get over yourself, bro. Seriously. Our government owes those people.
With that, man. I'm only 30 years old. I had nothing to do with this Trail of Tears.
What's up, Scientific Snitch? You want to chime in?
Hey,
what's up?
I saw your message. Did they already leave?
Yeah, the guy already left. I don't know if you know. We're talking about random ass stuff now. I mean, we could get back to nutrition based stuff. We were talking to this guy for a while.
I appreciate the time talking too, and I don't mean to be I don't know, obnoxious or anything like that. I'm just genuinely. Okay. It's just all topics.
Let's if you still want to be, if you can still be on the phone, let's swing it back to like the original thing that we were talking about in relation to nutrition and health. Can we go back there? Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So what views did you? Because we were talking about seed oils, artificial sweeteners, and soy. I would believe, or I would assume that you believe those are bad.
I do not. I believe that they could be bad for some people, and they're probably beneficial for others.
All right.
So it really takes.
That's crazy.
It's wild sauce.
Go ahead, Snitch, or whoever.
Okay, wait. That was foolish. Okay, so some things like artificial sweeteners and stuff. Yeah, there's probably no net benefit to anybody except for some.
That's still crazy.
Artificial sweeteners. It is better to use nothing. First of all.
Wait, no, it's not. No, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. I'm sorry. It's just there's no evidence to suggest that artificial sweeteners have a harmful effect, not only on your gut microbiome, but also just on your general health. There's no link to cancer. There's no causal evidence of this. It's reverse causality, which basically implies that individuals who are more likely to consume artificial sweeteners are already at a higher risk because they're diagnosed with obesity and they're already having an excess BMI, which can result in an increased risk for various chronic diseases. That doesn't mean that artificial sweeteners are responsible for that risk. So that's the first part. The second part is, and I could cite meta-analytical data for this. The second part is that multiple randomized control trials, specifically the SWEET study that was very recently conducted, has demonstrated that artificial sweeteners can actually improve your gut microbiome, and they have a very beneficial effect on improving weight loss outcomes, even more so than water.
Well, my point is that when we're talking about additives, we should. I disagree with we if we're with and I'm coming at this from a medical standpoint. We don't want diabetic patients consuming artificial sweeteners because they can still raise your blood sugar. If
No,
they
they
have
can't.
to
No, they
choose,
can't. There's no evidence to
they
suggest that.
absolutely do. They
No, they
absolutely do.
don't. They
We have
absolutely do
we
not.
have studies that show that they do.
All right, well
No,
then
they
let's
don't.
talk about that. Let's talk about that then. It's okay to have a
Here,
disagreement. Let's
let
talk about it.
me let me
Let's provide research. It's okay.
here. Let me pull up. Let me go grab my computer real quick.
Okay. It's okay to have a civil disagreement here. I think it is important to note, regardless, even if they were to, it would still be far less than sugar. And I
Well,
think
it physiologically can't.
To me, it seems like
That's the
it's
thing.
the argument like, well, push-ups are great for everybody, but unless you have like bulging discs in your spine, then push-ups aren't good, right? Like, so maybe the artificial sweeteners.
So here you go. So according to PMID 368 39408, the effect of non-nutritive sweetened beverages in response to a systematic review and
hold on, your mic
analysis
is getting fuzzy. Your mic is getting fuzzy.
non-nutritive sweeteners.
Hey, Snitch. Your mic is getting. It's hard to hear you. It's kind of glitchy.
Better?
I heard
Is
that.
this better at all?
Yeah, now it is. Yeah.
Okay, so according to the effect of non-nutritive sweetened beverages on postprandial glycemic and endocrine responses, a systematic review and network meta-analysis, the PMID for this is 368-39408. Conclusion was the available evidence suggests that non-nutritive sweetened beverages sweetened with either single or blends of non-nutritive sweeteners have no acute metabolic or endocrine effects similar to water. These findings provide support for the basically the understanding that non-nutritive sweetened beverages as an alternative replacement strategy for sugar sweetened beverages in an acute postnatal setting. And then there is also here
So
another one that was recently from 2025, which basically the conclusion here was the findings do not support the hypothesis that artificially sweetened beverages pose risks or in terms of like metabolic risk factors. And that was another one. So artificially sweetened beverages do not influence metabolic risk factors, a systematic review and meta-analysis. And then I can provide.
Well, let them respond on those.
More.
Let them respond on those real quick, and then you can put forward the other one. You want to respond to that, Dr. Jace?
So I'm not suggesting that they're bad. I'm suggesting if they're going to make the choice, we're fine with them making the choice to use things like artificial sweeteners. But because as you said in the previous study, there's no acute response, which means there's no immediate effect on blood sugar.
So here's the thing. If it actually had an effect on blood sugar, it would be immediate in the same way that it would with glucose. Because in order for it to have an effect on blood sugar, you would have to have a release of glucose into the bloodstream, which is not what we see with artificially sweetened beverages because they don't bind to the insulin receptor. And so they don't elicit a response in the same way that glucose does because it's
Correct.
physiologically impossible for them to.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yes. So unless you can provide me with randomized control data, and I would need to see the actual data for this.
Can I have a 1 minute
Because
response
I've
to
done my
this one?
reading on this topic, and there is no evidence to suggest artificially sweetened beverages actually affect blood sugar.
He's talking to somebody about pharmaceutical companies, and from their understanding and their belief on what they're telling people is that these different pharmaceutical companies, the data that is gathered on the effects of these drugs is given to a panel of people that pick and choose which one is given to the pharmaceutical company, so that they have unlimited amount of tests that they can run until they find one that is a beneficial one. Then they give that one back to the pharmaceutical company, and they throw out all of the other ones. I'm afraid that type of process that these pharmaceutical companies have maybe. Okay.
All right, good.
Yeah, so this is not a pharmaceutical company funded study. Like, this is just a meta-analysis, and the data still is it's corroborated by other data sets, as I said. Like, there's multiple meta-analyses finding there's no glycemic response for artificially sweetened beverages. So, like, as I said, until you can provide me with data, I have no reason to believe what you're saying is true. And artificial sweeteners are not even pharmaceuticals, so it wouldn't apply to pharmaceutical research.
I don't know what the pharmaceutical research has to do with anything. So let me give you my computer. I'm on my phone, so I have to go back and forth. Hang on one second. So the one that I'm looking at is for long term and specifically related to sucralose. Okay, it induces hepatic
So how is
insulin.
this trial done?
It's
And can I have the PMID?
Yeah, she just wants the PMID. Cryptic, they know. Cryptic. So just to make it clear, Scientific Snitch and Dr. Jace have a disagreement on artificial sweeteners. They're talking about that. We also have somebody on the phone call.
So I just found the study that he's talking about. This was in mice. This has no relevance, like, to humans.
So it's did you find it's the 373 whatever?
Yeah, that's in mice. You're talking about a study conducted in mice that were being given an extremely high fat diet, which is known to already cause insulin resistance. So actually, this study does not isolate sucralose as a single variable to cause insulin resistance, and would make literally no sense to attribute insulin resistance to sucralose when you're already putting these mice on a high fat diet.
And you don't think it's necessary to continue looking at that in the long term to make sure that sucralose is safe?
Because in humans, it already has been demonstrated safe. This study, mice, the studies I cited were in humans.
Okay, the study on sucralose and hepatic insulin
This
resistance.
is in mice. This is in mice.
I'm asking a question. What study are you referring to with regard to sucralose and hepatic insulin resistance?
I'm referring to the study that you cited, which is long-term consumption of sucralose induces hepatic insulin resistance through extracellular signal regulated kinase 1-2 dependent pathway. Except this study is in mice. The study you cited was in mice.
I'm asking for the one that you were referencing in humans.
Yes, the meta-analysis I just cited was on human data.
What was the PMID? I missed it.
Sure,
I want to read it. I want to read it. Not that I'm discounting what you're saying. I just want to read it.
And actually, I think I might have one on specifically sucralose.
Do you have the PMID?
Yes,
do you have the PMID for him though for that meta-analysis? He's looking for it.
Yes, I do. I'll give that to him as well.
Okay, cool.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
So here, this one's in humans. So this is one that's specifically on sucralose. Lack of effect of sucralose on glucose homeostasis in subjects with type 2 diabetes. The PMID is 146-470-86. And then for the meta-analysis, the PMID is 368-394-08.
Thank you.
And just to give you the conclusion for the first study that I cited, this study demonstrated that similar to cellulose, sucralose consumption for 3 months at doses of 7.5 milligrams per kilogram per day, which is approximately 3 times the estimated maximum intake, had no effect on glucose homeostasis in individuals with type 2 diabetes. Additionally, this study showed that sucralose was as well tolerated by the study subjects as placebo. I think it's really important to understand that mice research is not the same as human research, especially when mice research can be manipulated and you can basically use a mouse model that already is predisposed for a specific kind of disease like insulin or condition like insulin resistance, and high fat diets are known to cause insulin resistance. In fact, I actually was helping out I was working next to a lab that used a high fat mouse model to induce insulin resistance. So you can't claim that sucralose increases blood glucose when we have this human data that I just cited, and that the only data that does suggest this is in mice that are already being given a high fat diet, which induces insulin resistance.
I had a very similar response to the cancer study they did on saccharin many, many years ago when they gave rats 10,000 times the amount of saccharin a human would take in a lifetime and then claimed that it caused cancer. And to be real clear, no artificial sweetener to date has been proven to cause cancer for everybody listening in the chat.
Yes, I would say that the only real negative side effect of some artificial sweeteners would be diarrhea from specifically sugar alcohol consumption if you consume too
Yes.
much. But that's the only one that is known to be an actual effect. I also just found another study that was on healthy subjects with sucralose. So if you're interested in that, I can provide the PMID for that too.
Oh, that would be fantastic. For those, if anybody in the chat has had bariatric surgery, please do not ingest anything that contains sugar or alcohol. It will cause wasting and dumping syndrome. So if you've had any kind of bariatric surgery, please avoid sugar alcohols.
But that being said, our aspartame and sucralose are better for you than are better for you in general than like actual sugar.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
PMID for that is 300-05329, and this was the effects of sucralose on insulin and glucagon-like peptide 1 secretion in healthy adults, a randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled trial. And then the outcome of this was a little bit more skewed towards what you were talking about before. However, here's the issue here is that they use like only 15 participants. So even though this study does demonstrate what you were talking about, I would argue that this study could be kind of disregarded when you have other studies like the first one that I gave you on diabetic patients, because the diabetic patients, there were 128 subjects versus only 15 participants, is a very low powered study, which basically indicates that you're more likely to have various errors in terms of like your statistical analysis.
Right. 15 doesn't meet the gold standard. Do you have the p-value on the last one with the 15 participants?
You mean with the 128 participants for the
No, the 15. I saw the p-value on the 128. It's the 15. I was just curious what the p-value was.
Honestly, I might need to look through this again because it looks like they didn't. Because mean plasma blood glucose was not different between sucralose and placebo, but it looks like that they. Oh yeah. So this is what the graph looked like. I'll show it to you guys because it's kind of crappy. So they're trying to claim that sucralose reduced insulin resistance, or sorry, reduced insulin sensitivity, but as you can see, it's like barely anything, barely had any effect, and
It's
it didn't
medically
change plasma blood
insignificant.
glucose.
It's medically insignificant.
Yep.
Okay, so where are we? I just want to make sure on the disagreement that you guys had, where are we at with that? Was there any push in any direction from either person?
I mean, well, I'm glad for the updated study because I had
Okay.
not seen the newer studies, and I'm
Okay.
always happy to go through them because it allows me to provide better information for my patients.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Okay. I just wanted to see if there was any other disagreements there. But see that, Trump supporters, two people can disagree on something and provide evidence and be fine. Nobody has to name call. I know that always happens with Trump supporters.
I'll name call myself. I'm old and set in my ways, and I'm not going to have some whippersnapper telling me how to do my thing. I'm just kidding. I'm always happy to learn.
See, guys, that's a proper disagreement, okay? You guys, it doesn't have to be an
Yeah,
argument.
research is my bread and butter, so it's like that's the only reason why I have these kinds of papers almost on recall, because like I already kind of knew about them. I like love reading about these sorts of things, but like I'm always happy to share data.
Yeah,
But
no, I
as
thought
far
that
as
was
like
great.
there was a the when you said not when you said, but like when the other guy said like seed oils can be bad for some people.
Mm-hmm.
I find it so funny because they're like the predominant source of like omega-6 fatty acids, which are
Mm-hmm.
essential.
Yes, that's
So it's
seed
like,
oil. Its seed oil argument is stupid. Omega 6, omega 3, and polyphenols are essential to maintaining adequate brain health. But my subspecialty of my DO is in neuroscience, and I recently developed a diet that was high in omega 6, omega 3, and polyphenols, and it's been used with Alzheimer's patients currently. I have 100 participants in the study, and they're seeing significant increases in cognitive ability by simply adjusting their diet to include those three things. And we are using seed oils in that.
Yeah. I think that's good. If anybody disagrees with the background prompt, you can come on up. And the guy who was on the phone call, you're welcome to come back up if you want. I just thought since they were both talking, there was going to have you up. But if you're still watching, you can come back up. I thought we were having a pretty decent conversation. So
If you haven't looked into it, ladies and gentlemen, I recently have been using cricket flour. It's made from ground cricket carapaces. And it increases protein without changing the taste of bread. And by mixing it with flax flour, I've actually gotten some pretty tasty bread that is high in protein, and I'm really loving it.
I've also been like doing some a lot of reading, so I'm really well versed in like how the faults of the omega 6 to omega 3 ratio, as well as like heme iron and carcinogenesis in the colon. So if anybody has any questions about that, I have like a ton of research on recall for that too.
The seed discussion has far-reaching implications, and look, for we have individuals with like celiac patients, for they have to have access to flours that don't fit our normal day-to-day life, because we've been using wheat seed for a very long time, and nobody has seems to have a problem with wheat seed. But when you start getting into other seeds and they start throwing fit, and I just don't understand when they can't grasp the concept that there are medical conditions that have to have us branching out, and it includes using seeds from other members of the grass family. It's just a silly notion to think that humans can't and shouldn't do that.
well, so I'm looking on the YouTube comments. You guys know how they can get. This person is asking, what year was the first year a human being ingested a seed oil? And I know what they're trying to get at with that. It's a nonsensical argument. It doesn't make sense. Like, who cares when we first had them? That's not relevant to its health
I would
effects.
I would just also add in like when was the first year that humans started using antibiotics? As if
Right,
antibiotics haven't always been a net positive on human health.
right.
Like,
Yeah. It just go ahead, Dr. Dice.
We've been, humans have been evolving in many ways for thousands of years now, and as we evolve, our diets evolve, and not just because our bodies change, but because our environment changes as well. And the reason that humans have survived as long as the species as we have is because of our adaptability.
Hmm.
And to suggest that we shouldn't be looking at other food sources and how they affect us is absolutely ludicrous to me.
Hmm.
So when we say when was the first time we did this, you can say when was the first time somebody cooked food.
Sure.
That was a new thing too. And
Yep.
we know now that eating raw meat versus eating cooked meat is much better.
Of
So
course.
it's a nonsense argument to say, well, we started doing this and then this other thing happened. It's just silly. It's a silly argument.
Yeah, they're not liking what you're saying back in the you guys again know how the YouTube comments can be, but I
Of
so
course they don't.
so I see it's this guy named Adam in there. He says your digestive tract has nothing to do with created medicines, referring to your comment about antibiotics. Such, um,
Your digestive
I could
tract has
say the
nothing
same
to do
thing
with
about whey protein
medicines.
powder.
right.
Are you kidding?
Adam,
I could say the same thing about protein powder.
I just want you to say in the comments specifically what is bad about seed oils. You're likely going to mention the processing and hexane. I'm almost positive he's going to mention hexane as to why they're bad. I can guarantee that's the
I would just
next
mention
response.
that using chemicals to isolate other chemicals doesn't mean that those chemicals that are used in the isolation process are in the final product.
Mm,
Right.
So, for
exactly.
example, we use various bacteria to help generate some supplements, like for example, like vitamin D, vitamin C, will use bacteria to metabolize other compounds into these vitamins. Then we'll isolate those vitamins out of the bacteria in order to put them in our dietary supplements so we can have vitamin B12, vitamin C supplements. And yet you don't see a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, they use this bacteria. They use, well, actually, you do see some people like crying about the black mold, but like the black mold and the bacteria are not in the final product.
Something that people fail to realize is the human body, as efficient as it is, isn't capable of digesting everything on its own. For instance, you don't produce cellulase, so humans cannot fully break down plant at all. We have to masticate the shit out of something, and we still don't get all the nutrients out of it because you don't produce cellulase. You cannot break down the cellulose wall on plant material. You produce amylase in your saliva, which freely breaks down animal proteins. So we have to have other things in our bodies that break that down, and the bacteria that live naturally in your digestive tract help with that. And when we go out of our way to find other ways of breaking down these materials to make them digestible by humans, we have to use organisms that can break it down. And
I
some of
would
you out there are drinking coffee that's literally been digested by elephants and picked out of their shit, and you've got no problem with that. But you let bacteria, which we readily unalive, and you're like, oh God, no, we can't have this protein because bacteria pooped it out. Yeah, keep eating elephant
also
shit.
I would just add that technically, amylase is what breaks down certain types of plant starches. So
Yes.
we can
Hmm.
break down, like we can break down amylose. That's what amylase breaks down, amylose. We can
Yes.
break down amylopectin. We can't break down cellulose. So it's, yeah.
We absolutely have to utilize everything in our environment to make us fully adaptable, and it's a silly notion that we can't. And there are some chemicals out there that I've side-eyed over my lifetime. Once upon a time, we used Sudan 4 as a red dye, and it absolutely causes cancer. It's one of the reasons that we pulled red M&Ms off the shelf. And if you're in my age category, we had beige M&Ms for a very long time because there was no food dye that we could be trusted, and now we have one. Now we're going to go back to the whole, oh, the food dyes are terrible. They're going to kill you. Good grief.
So somebody in the comments, and I'm sure, Snish, you've heard this one a million times, seed oils like canola oil were originally used as industrial lubricants for machinery and warships before being adapted for human consumption. I'm sure you've heard that one a
So,
million times.
and
You,
you can lose it as lube too, but that doesn't mean you can't ingest it.
right, no, that they're trying to say because a certain food product was used for a non-food consumption purpose, that when you use it for a food consumption purpose, therefore it must be bad. But we use numerous
We
foods for different things. Lemon, for example, it can be used to clean countertops and things like that. We use baking soda for all sorts of non-food purposes, but we still ingest it. That means
vinegar.
nothing. Yeah, vinegar, tons of things.
Hydrochloric acid exists out in the world and it will literally eat through metal. You also have hydrochloric acid in your stomach naturally.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be real here. I'm not suggesting that you go out and drink it. I'm not like the president telling people to drink, sodium hypochlorite.
well, so, Brian, but Brian, you are incorrect in the comments. You're saying it was used for machines because it was not fit for human consumption. You have to prove that. There is no evidence of that.
We also used beef tallow to oil up like guns and stuff before we had seed
Yep.
oils. So what are you even talking about, bruh?
I
Yeah,
was just about to say that.
that's a very good point because
I'm
these
giving
people
you a follow.
these people are generally very, very pro beef tallow, right? So if that argument is used for seed oils, then yes, you can apply for that. But they're going to say, well, that's different. Guarantee it. And Brian, if you disagree so much, why don't you come on up? You're just saying all of the usual comments I ever see in like the Instagram comment section. Not see now he's saying beef tallow has never been questioned. That doesn't determine if
I
it's
got
healthy or
all
not,
kinds of
Brian.
I got all kinds of questions about beef tallow. We really would prefer patients not consume red meat in general. There are better diets out there. If you do, that's fine, but you've got to control the consumption. Most dietary issues are about moderation anyway. But if you're out there slathering everything you own in beef tallow, it's not going to be good for your cholesterol and triglycerides, I promise.
It's not gonna.
Yeah, please don't. I For a while I was working in a cardiology lab, so I'm pretty well versed in that area too. And I find it really ridiculous that people think that beef tallow is healthy. It absolutely is not. And then as far as like red meat goes, interestingly enough, it's not the saturated fat that predominantly causes issues with colon cancer, but rather like heme iron and endogenous nitrosamines produced by the gut microbiome, which seems to be the big issue with red meat for colon cancer specifically. But for heart disease, it's saturated fat and cholesterol combined, which make for a pretty nasty combination.
Yeah, yeah. If you've ever seen the inside of a clogged artery and what people who have high fat diets, they almost always eat beef exclusively and bacon for whatever reason. They hang out in the pork part department, but it's usually just bacon. But they will eat this. They're eating steak every day. They're putting
Mhm.
beef tallow in everything they make, and then they'll come into the office and then they've got a triglyceride count of 900 and they're wondering why. I'm like, well, your blood is gravy, buddy. I'm
Yeah.
going to need you to back off on the beef tallow
There,
some.
there has been a lot of fad diets over the years, as you guys are both aware. A lot of fad diets. I think the carnivore diet is probably one of the most harmful ones of
Oh
all
yeah.
the fad diets. I mean, listen, like the keto diet, intermittent fasting. Do I think they're optimal? No, but do I think you're going to have nearly as much problems as you would with a carnivore diet? No, not at all. And so I can't wait for this fad to end. I don't know when it will, though.
When people come in and they're like, what diet should I do? And I'll tell them universally, I prefer the Mediterranean diet. But when I say that, I don't mean the fad version of the Mediterranean diet. I mean for these individuals to research what people in the Mediterranean eat
Hmm.
and realize that they are universally healthier than most Americans because their diets consist primarily of foods that contain omega 6, omega 3 fatty acids, and polyphenols. And lots of fish and poultry, very little red meat. We see a lower instance of prostate cancer in the Mediterranean and Balkan states than we do in this country. And my belief is that the amount of red meat consumed in the United States contributes heavily to prostate cancer. And I'm still looking at the newer and newer studies, but I've not seen anything that convinces me otherwise as of yet. If you know of anything that has changed that, I'm all ears. I would love to read it. But right now, I tell every prostate patient lay off the red meat because it's just not good for you.
I would also add on to that, as far as like Mediterranean diet goes, I'm always a big advocate for like slowly weaning off of certain foods. So like if you need, like instead of like maybe full sugar soda, you can wean off to diet soda. That's like one swap that I always recommend. But additionally, I would also add in that like I think it's really important to focus also on plant-based foods as well because there has been a recent study by NIHP, I believe that's the organization where they took a look at like the graded reduced risk when you switch red meat for white meat, and there was still an increased risk for colon cancer. So I do think that there is some benefit to also like having certain weeks where you do like maybe meatless Mondays or having some vegan food in your diet. I know I do. I love bacon in the morning, but I only ever have it like once in a blue moon. Usually I go for like tempeh bacon or tofu bacon instead, and it really does help out.
I see a comment in the YouTube section. This sounds really weird. They said the Lewis and Clark expedition nearly died from eating too much lean rabbit and jerky. A Native American each gave them a piece of tallow candle to eat. Minutes later, they revived. That sounds like something out of the
That's
Bible. like,
that's bunk. What I will say is that the Lewis and Clark expedition was plagued by tularemia, which is a disease that's spread through eating improperly prepared rabbit. And if what likely happened is that the natives in the area were aware of this and they switched their diet to something not rabbit and they got better because they weren't consuming diseased rabbit meat. And it evolved into some sort of weird legend or whatever. But I can assure you, eating beef tallow does not suddenly cure you of rabbit
Right.
disease. I'm just here for it.
But according to somebody else, they said, did you know that Jordan Peterson went on a beef diet and it helped his depression and energy? Oh boy.
Um, I would just say that like if you go from eating a really crappy diet to eating a really restricted diet,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if you feel better because you're eating less calories. Eating
Yeah.
less
Right.
calories doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthier. It just means that you're not overeating. And usually when people stop overeating, they feel better.
Sure.
A really good example of this was a family member of mine came to me and was like, I'm eating this really whole food, really healthy salad, but I feel so tired after eating it. And they go on to explain to me what's in here. And they go like, yeah, there's a sweet potato, chickpeas, chicken, kale, broccoli, carrots, peppers. They go on this list of like 20 foods. And I'm like, how big is this salad? And they go, oh, it's, like the size of one of those like really big salad bowls. I'm like, no wonder you feel tired. You're eating too much all at once.
Sure.
And even though it's a great salad, split the salad up and you won't feel as bad.
I love salad. It is like I eat probably 10 salads a week or more. Um, I have probably, I've lost almost 300 pounds now. And
That's great.
uh, my diet, my breakfast, I eat a bowl of oatmeal with, yes, I use artificial sweetener. All natural fruits in the oatmeal. I eat banana and peanut butter as a snack. I eat a salad for lunch almost every day. And then my nightly meal usually consists of either poultry or fish and cruciferous vegetables. My triglycerides were 93 and my total cholesterol was 120, and I'm still considered overweight. It is possible to be a healthy person even when you're battling weight loss and eat properly and get your numbers back where they should be so that you're not taxing your heart and kidneys in the process of losing weight, which is also stressful.
If you're enjoying the live, guys, on TikTok, click the red follow button on the top left, I believe it is. And on YouTube, click the subscribe button on the top right, I think it is. And for both of you guys, if you're enjoying the live, please like it, share it on out, engage, all that fun stuff. Oh, man.
What's the best? Oh, the question is, and either one of you answers is, what's the best way to convince someone that the keto diet is a bad idea?
Wow.
Oh,
But
there's two studies I would say here. So, there's this one individual online who's like this really big proponent of the carnivore diet, or not carnivore, but like high saturated fat keto diet. His name is Nick Norwitz. And let me just show you this non-cat CPC. Here we go. So it's the longitudinal data from the Keto CTA study. Plaque predicts plaque. APOB does not, which, by the way, I disagree with the study. I think it's very funny, actually. But the data basically implies that their NCPV, meaning the non-calcified plaque volume, the amount of plaque in their arteries from saturated fat and cholesterol, was so high, it was pretty much the same as the highest risk group in another study, which was it's based off of an abstract from Circulation, and it was the rates of atherosclerosis progression in the absence of cardiovascular events and cardiovascular medications on cardiac computed capnography, as well as another study progression of thyroid atherosclerosis by coronary CT and major. So based off of those two studies, the non-calcified plaque change was just as high risk for a heart disease or for a major heart disease event as the individuals consuming a high saturated fat keto diet. So consuming a keto diet can put you at risk at the highest quintile risk of getting a heart disease event, which is very bad.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, the volume,
Um,
snitch, volume on your thing, I don't know how to describe it. Is it too loud, too low. It's causing like static stuff or whatever. I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm sorry. Is this any better?
Um, yeah. It just
Marginally,
sounds.
yes.
It sounds very, I guess, muffled. Is that the word, guys? I don't know what the word
Yeah,
is.
it's muffled is good. Yeah, it sounds a little muffled.
Yeah.
Um, there's a couple of questions that flew through the chat. So, if you're eating the Mediterranean diet, can you eat Chick-fil-A? Ha ha ha! You absolutely can. Chick-fil-A, while we don't recommend you eating fried foods too much, but they have non-fried foods. But yes, you can absolutely eat Chick-fil-A on the Mediterranean diet. Um, those waffle fries, not very Mediterranean, but I know they're delicious. But we really want to try to avoid eating deep fried foods of any kind.
Let I
Fast
want
food in general is not
I
great.
want to dismantle this. I see this on YouTube. It says everybody needs to try fasting because that's going to clear your body out from all the stuff that your body, whatever that you put your body through. I think they're talking
That's
about
garbage.
autophagy. Yeah, I think that's what they're referring to. So I think it's maybe good that we clear that one up too.
Yeah. Is my volume any better?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's a
is
little
for
bit. Yeah,
me. I don't know about everybody
it was
else.
muffled and low. That's all it was. So
My bad. I was in the lab, so it was making like a little bit
okay,
of a
sounds better. A little bit better now. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, autophagy is always occurring. You can't just like start and stop it. So even when you're like um, consuming food, there's still autophagy going on. And that's because that's just normal tissue turnover. Like you need to have your cells need to turn themselves over and regenerate proteins. So it's not something that is only associated with fasting. And according to various meta analyses, and I would have to go back to my computer to pull them up, there's no significant difference between fasting and just
Yeah,
restricting your calories.
there's no indication that fasting quote unquote cleanses the body. There's no indication. In fact, I don't like fasting for patients because if your body goes into starvation mode when you start eating again, it's going to turn everything to fat. That's just the way it does things, and you don't want that to happen. So I don't
Oh,
recommend fasting unless it's being controlled by a nutritionist, and I am not a nutritionist. But when someone says to me, I want to try intermittent fasting, I immediately recommend and refer to a nutritionist that can control that.
I mean, there are some people who do have success with intermittent fasting, and I think that's okay. I just don't think it should be recommended like to the general population. But I do think for some
um,
people it works with their lifestyle and stuff like that. But it's not because obviously they're fasting. It's just that they're put in a situation where it's easier for them to be in a deficit. And if it works for your lifestyle, I think that's okay. But I think it's important to note for these people that it's obviously not the fasting; it's the caloric deficit causing it
I would
specifically.
also just mention that there isn't really such thing as a starvation mode. Physiologically, that just doesn't exist, and we know this based off of really unethical experiments like the Minnesota starvation experiments.
Yeah, I know that one.
Calories in,
Yeah.
calories out. Yeah, it's really just the end all be all. But that being said, I will say that there's just no difference between fasting and caloric restriction. And a lot of people find fasting very difficult to do. And I also wouldn't recommend fasting if you're trying to work out because that's going to
Yeah.
reduce basically your ability to perform during training because when you're low on glycogen your muscles are not going to perform as efficiently and effectively
Hmm.
because the most your highest threshold muscle fibers which basically contribute the most to high effort exercises like resistance training and running and everything that you really want to do that's high intensity rely heavily on glycolysis. So it's very difficult to do that. And additionally, I would mention that ketone bodies are not the preferred fuel for specific cells in your heart known as Purkinje fibers, which regulate your heart rhythm. So we've actually seen this that individuals who fall into an arrhythmia have more severe and lethal outcomes if they have high beta hydroxybutyrate levels, which is basically a type of ketone body. So higher ketone levels and basically being in a starvation mode, or not starvation mode, sorry, in like a fasting mode is not going to be ideal during like any sort of situation that you might be in where there's an emergency going on because your body does not have sufficient materials, aka glucose, to actually use and rely upon during those emergency situations.
I have to break myself of the habit of saying starvation mode. So I want to be clear. What I think really happens is when people go on long term fast and suddenly stop, what they do is that because they're starving, they overeat and usually the wrong things in compensation for this, and that's what causes the immediate getting back of weight. It's not necessarily the body doing it.
Definitely. So obviously, starvation mode doesn't exist, and it's going to be about calories in, calories out. But I think, Snitch, obviously, you would agree that when somebody does heavily restrict your calories for a long period of time, your body is sort of putting you in a position where it doesn't necessarily want to lose as much weight just for like surviving, right? So it will like unconsciously your NEAT, right, will go down, and things like that, making it sort of harder to lose weight. But that's still not necessarily starvation mode.
Let me since we have you guys on
Yeah,
the panel,
I wouldn't
I'm
disagree
sorry.
with that. Sorry, I've been like holding it up to my ear because I want to make sure that I can hear you guys. But basically, I would agree with that. I would just also say that the majority of the reason why it's more difficult to continue losing weight after a period of time is because your BMR goes down because you actually lost weight. So
Well,
like
sure,
the
yeah,
weight that you carry contributes to your BMR, and your BMR is the greatest proportion of your total daily energy expenditure.
right.
So I would make I would just make the
So
argument, like I agree with you. I just
yeah,
would make the argument that it's not for your NEAT, but rather for your
mostly
like your
BMR.
BMR
Yeah.
literally reducing. Yeah.
Although
And
some people, a high percent of their TDE can be neat for some people if they just happen to be like very fidgety person, things like that. For other people, it's less of a percent. That can vary greatly though, person to person. Neat.
yeah, I have a question just for you guys. Uh, how do you feel about? And I have patients ask me this all the time. Is it okay if I have a cheat day? How do you guys feel about cheat days?
I think that goes into your psychology a lot though, depending on how you view it. Um, I think sometimes viewing it as quote unquote cheat day may not be the best thing psychologically. And some people, they tend to get into this all or nothing mindset where if they do that, then they want to continue doing it. So I think it depends on their views of food and how they go about this all or nothing attitude. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong. Some people can be good in the sense that they feel like they get a break. Okay, now I go back on the diet. So it depends on how you view a quote unquote cheat day, I guess.
I would say that I personally don't really like cheat days because it really gets you in the mindset of like looking at food as good or bad.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that it is good or bad. I think it's just, it depends on the context. Like, I can have bacon once in a blue moon and be perfectly healthy. My blood lipids look amazing. Why? Because most of the time I'm eating a vegan breakfast. So
Yeah.
I really think that it's important to just acknowledge, like, yes, limiting certain foods is a good thing, but we shouldn't just inherently look at foods as a cheat food or a bad food because
Yeah.
that gets people in the mindset of eating, bad eating
Yeah.
habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had really bad eating habits for a very long time, so I understand how it can be. And I think it's just really important to advocate for healthy eating mindsets.
Also, too,
I
hold on, one quick thing. I'm sorry. Let's say somebody's cheat day, quote unquote cheat day, consists of like I don't know, pizza. Like that's just their favorite thing. So they eat a shitload of pizza. Say like 4,000 calories worth of pizza, right? If they really love pizza, they can theoretically fit like a small amount into their weekly diet and actually have less calories than that one cheat day would provide, right? So if you have like one cheat day of 4,000 calories, well, if you just fit in say 100 calories worth of something that you like on a day to day basis, that's far less calories. That you know what I mean? So I think instead of sometimes having it all as one day, if you want to fit these enjoyable cheat foods, whatever you want to call it, into your day to day diet, you would actually eat less calories overall.
when we're looking at preparing patients for a post bariatric surgery diet program, one of the things that we want to tell them is they get this mindset what we call the last meal mindset before surgery, and they want to run to the buffet and eat everything on the buffet table or whatever. We have them on a diet plan prior to surgery that teaches them to have a better a different relationship with food, as you said, good foods versus bad foods, and we want to break that mindset.
Yeah,
And so, we're telling them you can't have these foods post surgery for an X amount of time because it's not good for the surgery. But once you've reached a certain point in your recovery, then we can talk about reintroducing foods. And when we reintroduce that food, we introduce it in a moderated setting.
yeah,
So, you can't have cakes and pies and stuff post surgery until you've been almost a year out of bariatric surgery. Um, when you get ready to have that first piece of cake or pie or whatever at the family gathering, you haven't eaten it. You should expect these things to happen because if you've been on a practically no sugar diet for almost a year, you're going to get a little bit of a sugar rush when you reintroduce that food to your system. And if you overdo it, it's going to be problematic. So I don't like cheat days for that very reason, is because it as Snitch said, it creates the mindset that food
yeah,
X is bad when really the quantity and frequency with which you eat said food is actually what
yeah.
we would look at as being
Yeah,
bad.
that's a good point. Very good point. And people on YouTube, I hear you complaining. You're welcome to provide your own sources. So if you're complaining about the sources that we have and saying that we won't look at yours, but you have to actually provide sources, which you're not doing. So why don't you just call in, or at the very least provide it in the comment section before you bitch about us not looking at your sources when you don't provide them in the first place?
Also, Doug's followers, I'm 40 people away from being monetized. So if some of y'all just want to jump on the Dr. Jace bandwagon so I can cross that monetize button, I would appreciate it.
What, here on TikTok, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, make sure you guys give him a follow. What do you mean Oh, with videos and stuff?
Yeah, I
Oh,
crossed
gotcha,
the
yeah.
5,000 mark. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, everybody give Dr. Jason a follow. We got 127 people on TikTok. I expect him to get 127 new followers. I expect it.
Yay, followers! I followed Snitch too. Good stuff. Good stuff. I was trying to scroll back through the comment section, and you love the way I say pie. Listen, my accent is my accent is super muddled, and I'll tell you why. My daddy was a hillbilly from West Kentucky, and my mother was a Georgia debutante. But the vast majority of her family is from Scotland and Ireland, and they speak Gaelic. So I have Gaelic, hillbilly, and Georgia peach influence in my accent, and then I have lived in California for 25 years.
Yeah, that'll
So
do it.
I
That'll do
say
it.
shit. I say shit weird.
What's up, Corey? Did you disagree with anything in the background, or did I preemptively let you
I
up?
made a joke in the comments saying
My
that
bad.
I was
Yeah.
disagreeing with the soy thing because it
Okay.
tastes like chalk. Sorry about that.
No,
Have a
yeah.
great
By
day.
the way, I've been watching some of your lives lately. I like them.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you're ever bored, you feel like being a fascist. Always love having different co-hosts.
No, you're really articulating. I like the way that you explain things. So yeah, I'd love to maybe hop into your live if you're cool with that. Whenever you go, do you go live at certain times, or is it just random?
I typically try to go live like Wednesdays through Friday, starting at
Okay.
like 9 a.m. CST, but it kind of
Okay.
depends. And then when I walk my dog at night sometimes.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, cool.
If you ever need a scientist, let me know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Make sure
no,
you give Snitch a follow for sure. She's great, as well as Dr.
always
Jason,
plenty
of
of
course.
anti-vaxxers, so if you're ever bored. But also, yeah, I think I've seen Snitch a few times on Ish's lives, so I always appreciate that perspective.
Cool.
But yeah, you guys have a great day.
All right, Corey. Take care, man. Cool. All right. What are the YouTube comments saying? Blah 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 blah. Nothing much. You guys are just bitching as usual. Again, Brian, I see you complaining. You've been complaining in the YouTube comments for like 2 hours, 3 hours at this point. Why don't you just come on up? Yes, you guys can share links, but like everybody has a phone, right? Every one of you can call that number and come on up. I don't know why some of you in YouTube are not doing that. We had the other guy do it. Chris, you want to come back up? You can call. But
So
guys,
some people have. Go ahead.
was there an echo when I had that caller up though, guys? On YouTube?
No,
I know on TikTok there
I didn't
wasn't,
hear
but
it.
not on TikTok. I think in YouTube there
Oh.
was. All right. Well, he's calling right now. Let's see.
Let's roll, Snitch.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Good. Yeah, I was just asking in the chat if we could maybe expand the topics of discussion, if that would be cool.
I'm fine with it. I probably am going to wrap up this live. I'll say 30-ish minutes because I've just been live for a while. So, but yeah, I'm fine talking for a little bit longer.
Yeah, earlier when I was in the call with you, and then the doctor came into the chat, then your friend and him were talking and stuff. I was just on mute, and then we lost in the call or whatever. But I was just kind of hanging out in the background. But I was saying in the chat that's cool because I brought up a few topics that we disagreed on, but then we were able to find a topic that we can agree on. And I think that's like really important these days because I don't know if you believe this or not, but I've met quite a few people that have disagreement with like my beliefs and thoughts like that or whatever. And then I'll even ask like something as simple as like, well, can we agree that the sky is blue? And I've literally had people say, well, technically it's not blue. It's not always blue. It's got shades of this, that, and the other. And I was just baffled by the thought that people can't discuss or agree on anything in a debate.
Okay.
When some people have disagreed.
Okay, I don't know what to respond to with that, to be honest. What is it you want to talk about? I don't think any of us want to have a conversation about the color of the sky, but
Sure. Okay. Sorry about that. So, what about to get more on topic here? I've got a question, I guess. So couldn't we agree that like for some people, seed oils would be beneficial, like skinny people or whatever, and then for some people, I know you guys were talking about
So here's the problem with that is that seed oils are a major source of omega-6 fatty acids, which are essential for you to literally be alive. So you need it regardless of whether you are skinny or fat.
Was that your same color?
Are there other ways that are safer, I guess would be my question. Like, so if the seed oil... Oh, wait. Okay, so...
Seed oils are just as safe as any other way.
Okay.
Like, I'm confused. What is the danger that you're referring to here?
Well, I'm sorry that I'm not very well educated on this topic. That's really why I was asking if we could discuss a different topic, because there's so many I can think of. But with the one that you guys are specifically talking about here, my understanding was that they have like a lot of fat and stuff in them, so they're like seeds are bad for people.
There's different types of fat.
Blood sugar and stuff like that, or whatever.
No. So high fat diets that are given to mice are saturated fat. So specifically the like high fat feed that are given to mice are high in saturated fat, not unsaturated fat, so they don't contain seed oils. So like when we're talking about the different types of fats and like their effect on human health, we're talking about saturated versus unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fat contains double bonds. You derive less energy from them from traditional beta oxidation methods, whereas saturated fat is very stiff and it's very rigid, which can contribute to stiffening of arterial walls, contributes to atherosclerosis, which is a buildup of plaque inside of your arteries because your immune cells have to clean up the mess and they get really fussy and they die. So there's a lot of mechanisms by which these fats are much worse for your health than unsaturated fats, and saturated fats just inherently are different. So all fat in general is not the same. There are fats that are less harmful for your health and fats that are more harmful for your health.
Do you understand the chemistry that goes along with that, caller? Or do you need a visual?
Well, it's not like super peak interest of mine all that much. Like I'm kind of the more simplified dumb that's like just thinking like, well, it's good for some people and bad for other people, and like, can't we just agree on that? And but I guess I'll be wondering. So, you think it's good? It's a net positive for every single type of person? Because my stance is more that like everybody's unique, and people forget that no two people are the same. So I just don't like how like people get categorized all the same. So I feel like the argument that's an easier argument to be made is just that for some people it's good, for some people it's bad. Like what would be more important is just educational like
So
research to have people
the
more
problem,
aware of what they should and shouldn't be having. You know, that could be maybe the topic that's more important. It's just people's lack of education on the topic.
so the problem that I keep seeing running into here is that regardless of who you are, omega-6 fatty acids are required because your human body cannot synthesize them on its own. So that is the reason why I keep saying that.
I believe that's true. That's why I brought up that maybe that would be. I feel like I'm not educated on this topic as much as I should be, so I feel like I should. You know, if we want to talk about what people should be doing, people like myself and everybody in chat and all that should maybe be more concerned and look into these types of things that you guys are talking about. You guys are bringing awareness to it, so that's overall good. My disagreement would just be that we're sitting here discussing stuff that maybe doesn't even really matter all that much. Like there's way more important things, right? But I mean, it's kind of simple. Just
Heart disease problem. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. So what do you mean it doesn't matter?
You got some background noise, Nash.
Think of it this way.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. So what do you mean it doesn't matter?
There you go. Now it's clear.
Okay, can you say that again? What's the leading cause of death?
Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. Saturated fats can cause heart disease. Unsaturated fats prevent heart disease. So what do you mean?
Okay, so that's a valid point that's a leading cause and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't feel like it's that simple because
it is that simple.
I've got the echo. Maybe it's me. Let me try to fix this real quick if you guys are having an issue with that.
No, the echo's coming from here. It's not you, man. It's because YouTube is hearing it being fed through them from the computer, but now also it's being pushed out here, so they hear it twice.
I think it was my fault.
Well, I don't know, because I think YouTubers still hear an echo. If you're on YouTube, you do hear an echo, correct? I would admit not when I talk, but when Snitch or Dr. Jace talks. I'm almost positive you guys have an echo. It would be weird if you didn't. Anyways, I do need to read a Venmo out loud. David, thank you for the 20 on the Blue app with a V, although I already said the name of it. I don't know why. It says, Doug, I'm not sure I'll ever forgive you for forcing me to learn so much about seed oils and now YouTube. However, I still support what you're trying to do here, you jerk. Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Okay, to respond to your friend's, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, to your question, I would think that the concern is really in just all the other food that goes along with it. You know, the typical run to the grocery store. People that are having this, the leading cause, I think it's such a complex thing that it's not as simple as just boiling it down.
Yeah, so that's what epidemiology does. So that's what epidemiology does, is it accounts for various variables. So specifically, for example, I could give you the formula for this specifically, but basically what we do is we assign numbers that we can kind of they're like dummy variables basically, which can help to modify the formula that we're using to calculate significance for. So that way we can account for the specific effects of certain variables. This can allow us to ensure that we're adjusting for example, if the person smokes, if the person consumes alcohol. We can make sure we account for this in our statistical analysis in epidemiological studies. That's why these studies are things that you can rely on. And it's also why a lot of like fitness influencers and health grifters seem to flip-flop around like fish whenever it comes to epidemiology studies, because they know it disagrees with them, but they refuse to actually acknowledge that they're wrong about anything. So when I say that saturated fat causes heart disease, there is no doubt in my mind, because we have mechanistic evidence. We also have outcome evidence. So it makes literally no sense for you to be saying that, oh yeah, it's just too complicated. No, we have the data. The data is clear.
My argument could be that like everything causes that, right? Like, isn't that the standard?
No. So there's a specific mechanism. So I could provide you with this. So basically, saturated fat can impair and reduce the concentration of LDL receptors. LDL receptors clear LDL cholesterol from your bloodstream. This was based off of it was late 1990s study that discovered this, and we've had since multiple studies reinforcing and corroborating this. But basically, with the reduced capability to clear LDL from your bloodstream, LDL LDL that is entering your bloodstream after it is digested. So specifically the chylomicrons, which are particles that transport dietary fat throughout your body, they get metabolized and reconverted back into LDL and put into your bloodstream. And every time new LDL molecules pass through your epithelial wall of blood vessels, there's a chance it can be oxidized by, for example, reactive oxygen species, which are naturally inside of your body due to the presence of mitochondria, which produce ATP or energy. And when you have oxidized LDL, this oxidized LDL cannot be cleared out of your bloodstream from LDL receptors. And with the combined suppression of LDL receptor expression due to saturated fat consumption, you end up with a significant amount of LDL molecules inside of your bloodstream that are oxidized. And when it is this, when there's a significant amount of LDL that is oxidized, it can't be cleared out. So instead of being cleared out the traditional way, macrophages, which are immune cells, consume this oxidized LDL and they get sick and then they die. That's what this is called, a foam cell, which is when you have a unalived macrophage, which has consumed too much oxidized LDL. And this is what non-calcified plaque is. That is the plaque inside your arteries.
Wow. Yeah, I really commend your passion for this topic or whatever, because like, I'm not gonna lie, that was like a lot over my head, like a lot of that stuff, you know? And so like, I do want to commend your
That's
passion.
the direct mechanism.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. Like it must have taken you a long time to learn about all of that stuff. I mean, that's crazy. And yeah, that's
Look, do me
commend
to help
your
you. Let me
passion
help
for the
you out.
topic. I'm really sorry. I just had to be honest that, man, that went way over my head.
Okay, I'm gonna simplify it for you. You know, do you know a reasonable amount about cars?
Reasonable, but before you do, can I just ask another question? So, like, when just real quick, to mention something that she touched topic on or whatever was the drinking and smoking, and so I wonder. So you could say that drinking and smoking causes high cholesterol and stuff like that too. I would imagine, right, or whatever. But I wonder if that has something to do with
It causes heart disease.
Yes and no, but we can account for those variables. So as I said, you can adjust formulas.
Sure. Yeah, and see, my dispute this whole entire time is just like how individual and like unique people are or whatever. So like when I brought up earlier,
Yes, we adjust for those variables. That's what you do in an epidemiological study, is you adjust for variables.
Sure. So when I first called in, he'd asked my age. I told him I was 30. I've been like the same weight since like 15. You know, like right around the 135, 140 range. I'm 5'10" and a half. I'm pretty tall, pretty skinny. I do drink a lot and I do smoke a lot. Although I haven't been drinking much lately. But so at first, I'm like, so it looks like in the argument that you guys are saying that like where RFK Jr. and them are saying that drinking milk, like pasteurized milk, is good. Are you guys arguing that pasteurized milk is bad?
No,
No,
pasteurized milk
so
is better
he
than
advocates
raw.
for raw milk, not
Yeah.
pasteurized milk. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well,
Raw
the reason why
milk
is just
is
because, I
bad
don't know,
for you.
there's a huge problem with a lot of people, you know, aren't very aware with the type of stuff, you know, and then they just see a picture of, you know, RFK Jr. holding up a thing of milk and then a glass of milk and
He's a
you know, and
putz.
then well,
He's a
you
putz.
know,
Listen, humans should not be drinking bovine milk. You are a human, not a cow.
Does
And
anybody
people
hear
always
that?
say, we've been doing this for centuries. We've been doing this for centuries. It's not a bad thing.
And we also
Listen-
should not be drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
I would just
Well, that
mention that
too.
alcohol is an extremely carcinogenic substance that is linked to several types of cancers. So if you can reduce your alcohol consumption, I recommend that you do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw this
raw
really cool
milk is
short,
bad
and it
for
was
you in so many
this guy
ways.
in a bar talking to a kid, and then the kid said something about like, well, how drunk is drunk enough? And then the guy, I think it's whatever the actor is, sorry. Anyways, he goes, it's all about brain cells, and the kid's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, see, when you get drunk, it kills your brain cells, and you've got billions of brain cells, so it doesn't really matter. But the first brain cells to go.
No, so you can't actually. So the problem is that you can't regenerate brain cells.
Correct.
So like, if you lose a brain cell, you're not getting it back.
Right.
So
But I think
with
it brings
brain
up like
cells,
a heart toucher to a lot of people, especially like alcoholics or whatever, because he's like the first ones to go are your
So there's actually studies on this that the effect of alcohol on specifically psychological outcomes is even worse. So, meaning that individuals who are known to be socially awkward, to have DEPRESSION, I don't know if you can say that on here, are known to have poorer outcomes when they drink when compared to those who abstain from drinking. So, yeah.
there are lines in your brain that if you think about like think of your brain as like a series of highways and byways just running everywhere. That's kind of how nerve cells are taped together. And I'm being very colloquial on purpose. Okay, you have for instance, serotonin and dopamine. They travel along those highways. If you do stupid shit like drink too much, you damage the highway, and then your dopamine falls in a pothole and your brain can't function the way it's supposed to function because you've just damaged all the highways. And the difference between a brain injury and a brain damage is that injury over time can repair, but damage is permanent. So, and the reason that when I say that is because everybody has some stem cells in their body, and some of those pathways can be rerouted if they're damaged. Injured. But if it's damaged, it's done. You have approximately 4 trillion nerve cells in your body, and that's all you're ever going to have. And if you damage too many of them, you are screwing yourself sideways.
Yeah.
I'd also add that peripheral neurons can heal. Central neurons, like your brain, do not.
Yeah, peripheral neurons can be pasted back together. Basically, I'm being colloquial on purpose because
I think that's all
for the
like
sake of
scientific and like data proven like facts and stuff that you guys are speaking, but there seems to me that there's like an underlying problem with society and stuff like that. And like I'm trying to use this short I saw as an example of like how I believe and what the problem is or whatever. So if I could just kind of finish that or whatever, it's kind of funny and clever and it makes people think about it or whatever. But so he goes, and it kills your brain cells. And then the first ones to go are your sad ones. So then I start to feel happy. Then as I drink more, then my quiet cells get killed. So then I start getting a little bit louder. And then I drink more and my stupid cells die next. So I start saying things that are real smart. And then when I drink more, I kill off he said, when how drunk is drunk enough, his point is he's trying to get to the memory cells. And he's like, those sons of bitches are hard to kill. So I would say the underlying problem with the drinking is people are struggling with life. They're having this, social media's come out. People are having a hard time connecting. There's an interesting question going around, like how many people do you meet naturally in life, like where you see them somewhere and you start talking and you become friends? Like it's almost non-existent now. The argument is that maybe some of these Gen Zs or whatever, it may be that they've never had a friend that they've like met naturally, although like I don't know, you could probably argue that all sorts of ways. But so you guys are saying all these specific data, science, like proven, this is why that happens and this is why it's bad for you. But people don't even, that goes way over the heads of a lot of people. It boils down to like, they want to feel good, they feel bad, and like, you guys are doing a good point here because like diet would help people to feel better. But even though if you name off all these facts and the science, it doesn't necessarily help because that's kind of not really the issue at hand. You know what I mean? That's like kind of like a little side mission that, if you can learn all that facts over time.
What we want to do is help. It's not a side mission. First of all, it's our primary mission is to improve the health of everyone, and we do that by providing education. Now, I recognize, and I'm sure Snitch does as well, that when we're talking, sometimes it does go over people's heads. But the message is still there. Is that drinking is bad? It's going to hurt your brain.
I just wanted to also say that
Saying these things and public advocacy 100% matter. In fact, alcohol consumption has reduced significantly over the years.
Absolutely.
Cancer survival has increased drastically because of like science developments and like being able to like advocate for these medications. Another one is cervical cancer rates have significantly reduced since the development of the HPV vaccine. Like I could list off all of these areas where public advocacy has helped health outcomes for us. And speaking about it, 100% helps. You
We
may
don't
not think
want
it does because
people.
you don't want to listen to anybody, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't help people who are willing to listen.
We don't want people self medicating and hearing stories from their friends and just to use yours when people says, "Oh, I feel better when I go out and drink." Listen, alcohol is a depressant. I don't give a shit how good you think you feel while you're doing it. It is still a depressant. It is a carcinogenic, and it is
Right.
addictive. And
It's not my
and
argument that it's
if
healthy.
and
It's,
no
it's
Well,
matter
not my
that's
how
argument that
good
it's
you
healthy. And
feel,
then when
it
you say
doesn't
that it's
matter.
not good to self-medicate, there's a huge amount of society that they feel like that's all they can do.
But
Like myself specifically, I can speak with living experience or
you
whatever.
can go to therapy.
right, so are you saying I was texting somebody. I'm sorry, I missed some of it. But were you saying that it helped you socially? It helped kind of make you feel better and interact with people. Is that what I was hearing, or did I mishear that?
I do believe that that's true for
Oh,
myself personally or
okay.
whatever. It helps me just feel better or whatever. And I'm
Listen,
not saying that alcohol is good for people, but I
no,
understand why
I,
why
I
people have a problem with
I,
alcohol.
I
But
understand what you're saying. You were saying that you felt the social benefits outweighed
for
the
example,
physical harm. But hold on, let me speak. Listen, man, I've struggled with addiction my entire life, so I 100% get that. Believe me. I think that is something to address as Snitch said with therapy, right? Because that's not the substance making you feel better is not the solution. It's a band aid, right? Finding the solution
Yeah.
would help by going to therapy and finding
well,
whatever
I've
causes that
understood that
issue.
that's what therapy is. That it's not a long-term thing. It's just a temporary thing. I heard it doesn't
No,
solve
well,
anything
that's
for
not
long
true.
term.
That's not true at all. You can go people there are patients that go to therapy for the rest of their
But
lives. Some people do
there's a huge
benefit
part
from
of
short-term
society like
therapy.
myself that thinks that they're only good at they're good at one thing, and it's billing people.
That's not even close to accurate. First of all, if you're self-medicating depression with alcohol, you probably need to see a clinician because you would probably benefit from an antidepressant. Just saying. That aside, if you see somebody who specializes in helping you work through issues, because there's a
I just said I'm
reason.
an alcoholic, and you're gonna recommend antidepressants, but to go on to my alcohol, come on now. That might be a
I
problem that
don't know
we
what's
have in our
happening.
This is
current
like
political thing too.
this is ridiculous. So like you would rather so just putting this out there, like there is so much research suggesting that alcohol will
Well, get
increase your
this.
risk
Where
for
I'm
Well,
from,
cancer
she's
all
speaking.
and
the
Let,
heart.
let,
liquor
let her
stores
finish
and the
speaking. Hold
bars
on.
are owned by the city.
Okay,
The
let her.
city owns the liquor stores here.
Okay, let
It's a
her.
monopoly.
Hold on.
It
She was speaking. Let her
sounds
finish. Good, Stench.
What the shit is happening?
it really sounds like you're just making any excuse to not um choose what is healthier for your body. That's what it
Right.
sounds like to me.
That's absolutely what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait, okay, I had a hard time hearing her. I actually didn't understand what she said there. I'm sorry.
It was a little muffled. Yeah, that you're using it as an excuse. That's
Well,
essentially
that
what.
may be true. But what do you
No,
what's the alternative when like you brought up the topic of self medication? What if it's people are stubborn? The like hard headed people, whatever. I'm probably fall into that category. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
I.
I've gone to the clinic before, and the doctor barely takes his hand off the doorknob. You know what I mean? I just recently went in there. I'm struggling with I believe it's sciatica right now or whatever. And when you guys were talking about the damage that like alcohol does on like things like that, it's all kind of clicking in. Like this is probably self harm that I've done to myself. You know what I mean? That's probably why I'm having
So
problems.
then why don't you so then why don't you take steps towards quitting?
I am. I'm every day. Every day I take it as a new day, and My goal is just to do better than the day before. You know what I mean?
I
Are you
do.
being treated for sciatica?
No, I've tried to. I went to some physical therapy.
Oh,
Yeah, I
Lord.
do have a doctor's appointment actually tomorrow. I'm gonna go and try to get an MRI and maybe try to get a specialist, hopefully, or something.
You're just dealing with sciatica. Is there anything else that you have?
That's I'm just having a huge
Yeah.
lot of pain, and it's like crippling,
Right.
So
disabling pain
how
in
does
my
the
leg.
alcohol play into this? But I thought the alcohol was for like social things. Does that help you physically as well?
Well, I don't do all that much social right now for a while. You know what I mean? The last real social thing I did was like deer hunting
Okay.
last fall with a bunch
Well,
of deer
I'm just
hunters.
saying
You know what I mean?
you just said alcohol made you feel better. I was just wondering if
Also, well, where I'm from, the only place to go out to like meet new friends and things like that are either the bar or the casino. You know what I mean? There's nothing else really to do. So it is a social thing in that aspect, according to like kind of where you live. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm like 70 miles from Walmart. You know what I mean? Where I'm from, it was 100 miles to the nearest Walmart.
do you how much do you drink and don't whatever answer you say I'm not judging in the least bit. Again,
I
I'm
weigh
This is
100. I
not
weigh
judgment.
140 pounds, and if I day drink, I can drink 16 beers before I pass out.
okay. But how much like that's at once, but like on a weekly or a monthly basis, how much do you drink? And again, no judgment. I'm just curious.
Well, right now I can't really afford it, but typically it's like a, a 24 pack of bottles will last me 2 days. So if I can afford it, what is that, like 3.5 cases a week?
But is it daily? Like
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Um,
Right
So,
now I'm
I
struggling to
mean,
afford it. So
yeah. Go ahead, Jace.
are
Talk to
you a
Jace.
truck driver?
no, sir.
Are you a
I,
truck
I
driver?
worked before
I
at a
just,
manufacturing factory for players.
I, I was just curious if you had a job. We see a lot of sciatica slash depression, and alcoholism among truck drivers because they sit. Generally, what happens is that the sciatic pain is some of the worst pain that people
Probably
feel,
from
and it's
video games
extremely
for me then.
common. Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
got it
not
from
it's
video
not
games.
something that's abnormal. But what happens with people who are in excessive amounts of pain for long periods of time is they they self medicate because the pain causes depression, and the depression causes you to seek something to help the depression. And so people drink because they have these moments where the drinking makes them feel better, but
Definitely.
it's actually having a very different biomechanism there. It's not
Definitely.
making you feel better. It's lowering your inhibitions and allowing you a cognitive escape, which is not the same thing as treating depression. But if you're getting treatment for the sciatica to relieve the pain, that lowers your depression levels. That's also going to lower the amount of cortisol your body's producing. Those things in and of themselves are going to be beneficial. Also, if you're going to therapy for what other emotional issues you might be dealing with, and you stop drinking and get on an antidepressant that is appropriate for you, which doesn't have to be permanent, that will help your body hold on to the serotonin and dopamine that you need in order to process the pain better, because your nervous system works as a cohesive unit for addressing everything that your body is going through. But you can't just treat one thing sort of and not the other and expect anything to improve. So if you want to get better, you have to treat the sciatica, and you have to deal with whatever the source of your drinking is, whatever it happens to be, so that you can get on an antidepressant even in the short term and find some peace through therapy.
Can this pain that I have from sciatica, can it ever go away?
Yes,
Oh, sure. I've had
absolutely.
As I said,
I was in the Air Force.
peripheral.
Go ahead,
Because I've
Snitch.
had
Go ahead,
because
Snitch.
I've had it for like a year and a half now.
I just wanted to say peripheral nerves can heal to an
Yeah.
extent.
I
Like they can heal to an extent.
I got a protruding disc when I was in the Air Force because I was lifting a lot of like heavy equipment in awkward positions and things like that. So I got a protruding disc, and there was days where it was difficult for me to get out of bed because it was so
Yeah.
painful. Literally, like yeah, getting out of bed was very very painful. Today, I would say I have very minimal pain on a scale from 1 to 10. I would say it hovers around like a 1 or 2 at worst. But if I keep up with the things that I have been doing, it's fine, really. So yeah, I think absolutely it can get better.
There are medications that are non-narc that you can take that don't have any addictive properties. They're injectables that they can do. If it's very severe, if the nerve is inflamed, if you have a bulging disc, if it happens to be impinged in some other way, and there are other things where muscles can trap the nerve, they can see these things through testing. And if you take, like for instance, a shot of Toradol, which will help relax the area, and that does really well for lower back pain, or if you need something more extensive, they can do cortisone injections directly to the inflamed area. They can.
I was the one that brought up that DNA sequencing earlier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that should be able to help me. That would be a good first step for me to take. Besides that, I'm gonna go. Right.
DNA sequencing is largely for like genetic disorders and stuff like that, not really for.
Right, but that would be.
He's talking about the pharmacogenomic
It
testing.
very well could be that I could possibly have one. So it would be a good thing to get just to eliminate any of that type of stuff, wouldn't it be?
Well, if you're talking about pharmacogenomic testing, that you can do, but there's probably not a genetic disorder that you have that's affecting your sciatic nerve. That's not going to tell you much.
Okay, but I could have other things to do because, like, I haven't clarified this yet or whatever, and like, I can even tell you a main argument that people have against me on this or whatever. But I've always been like super anti-medication and stuff like that. I
figured that.
Yeah, so getting genetic testing is not going to be a problem.
For recreational, sometimes I'll do recreational stuff. You know what I mean? Like I've done just about everything for recreational at one point.
That's not. You know what I mean? You do realize that those recreational things are also considered medications, right? A lot of them are.
Well, I'm just giving you guys the argument that like people that like loved ones, like
that's
family
not an argument.
Friends, they'll bring up something and I'll be like anti-medication, then they'll be like, "What are you talking about? You've taken all sorts of pharmaceutical pills and stuff." You know what I mean? Some of them smell pretty good. You know what I mean?
You're talking about recreational stuff to help with your pain.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're talking.
I haven't had the sciatica forever, but I've had a problem. You know, I started pretty young taking recreational stuff.
I assume you're talking. I can't say it on TikTok, but opiates.
I've dabbled with them. I never really spent much money on them, but I had friends that were super addicted, like super fiends, like junkies. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
bad.
I was just wondering what it is that you were taking. I was just curious.
So those medications.
Yeah, that's not what we would be talking about here.
Those medications trick the sodium gate into thinking that you're not in pain. They just mask the symptom. They treat nothing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it make you feel good, of course, but that's obviously again a band-aid, a harmful band-aid because it can lead down a very bad road.
Right. I think the problem in society is we could all agree on like what you guys are saying, and more water would be good, but the real issue is people aren't doing it right. Like I'm not drinking as much water as I should. That would be a very good start to try to help. You know what I mean? And then instead, I'm doing something that's basically the opposite of water, and I'm drinking like alcohol and stuff, right?
It will dehydrate you. Yes, it will. Yeah, you should be drinking almost a gallon of water a day. You're 30 years old. You should be. You're 30 years old. You should be drinking about a gallon of water a day, and then you can include the water that you get from soups, coffee, tea, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be just plain water, although I recommend people drink lots of just water. But you get liquid from other things, but you need to be sure that you're approaching that gallon a day. And I always overshoot because people never do it, all of it. But you need to stay hydrated. If you're dehydrated,
because not everybody
you're going to flatten. When you get dehydrated, it flattens your veins. Your heart doesn't pump as well. And that denies oxygen to healthy tissue. And they need that to heal. So drink the fucking water.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I haven't. The last, it's probably been maybe 30 days to tally up that I've drank a gallon of water in total. But, yeah, I don't think that.
Yeah.
I might, part of me wants to think, well, part of the problem, the root problem here is people aren't educated enough. But then I can easily debunk that by saying, not saying that everybody's educated, but everybody knows pretty well like things are bad for them that they still do, right? So the real problem is it's not that they don't know that it's bad for them. The problem is that gives them some sort of relief, and it's so habit forming and like addictive, right? So the fact that it's addictive is the real root of the problem and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So the way that a person in society like myself that's anti-clinic, anti-prescription med, pharmaceutical, all that stuff, that I believe it's just a broken, flawed system, that they're only good at misdiagnosing people. I can give examples for how that happens all the time. It's they fall
Doesn't
in line
happen all
right
the
there with
time.
like the alcohol, you know what I mean? It's like alcohol has been a legal drug that they've given over the counter, you know, for a long time, and it's the same kind of corporations, the same kind of rich, filthy rich people that control these regulations and what's legal and what's not. And these pills, you know, it's frustrating because I feel like
Let me level set for the chat real quick. It does not happen all the time. The rate of misdiagnosis is at a historical low.
But how do you ever find that out exactly? You know what I mean? Like, we don't really know the true numbers with that, you know?
We do know the true numbers with that because we report them.
Well, but doesn't the medical system, don't they just kind of categorize everything up? Like, why is it that they prescribe something, you know, for an antidepressant, for example, they'll prescribe it for like a sleep, an aid to sleep or whatever, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, I may have like insomnia or something like that.
That's called off-label prescribing, and we typically don't do that. We do it when it's necessary, but not always. Like, for instance, tricyclic antidepressants like amitriptyline can be used in low dosages to treat moderate pain and sleep issues, and higher doses to treat depression. The dosage
Why is
matters
it
as
that
much
that
as the
system does
medication.
that? So they come out with a drug for a specific thing, and then they just give it around. Like, this is the thing that I have a problem with that system is they go, well, we don't really know how this is going to do for you, but it's done really well for a lot of people. Well, why is it an antidepressant that you're prescribing me for a sleep aid? Well, because we've given it to a bunch of people and kind of just figured out to see if it helps people and what it doesn't. And so slowly the pool of potential people that could customers just gets bigger and bigger because we've just given it to them and we don't really have any tests that we can do, but it's just a feel good, come in, how do you feel better, then they prescribe out a specific pill
What
that
are
once
you
came out for
saying? We
specific.
test it all the time. It's tested ad nauseum.
Well,
I
but
don't
for
know
like
what you're. I don't know what.
a
I don't know
drug like
what
an
you think happens.
Well, when they're saying that they give it to, you know, all these people and it does well with, you know, 90% of them or 80% of people have a positive thing for it. I don't really see,
That's
you can
the
say that
test.
they're doing testing on it, but I don't really see where they're doing testing on an individual person going in that they're trying to give some pills for, that they have really no idea what it's going to do for them or their brain.
No,
That's why
that's not true. That's absolutely not true. We absolutely we have a reasonable idea of how a patient is going to be affected by a particular medication that is prescribed. If it happens not to work that way, there are a number of reasons that a patient can be resistant or immune to a particular medication. It's because of the way their body processes it. Not everybody responds well to tricyclic antidepressants. Some people need a completely different classification of antidepressant. We don't know that until we prescribe it because we literally don't know the person well enough to know the ins and outs of everything that makes them who they are. But what we do know is that tricyclic antidepressants work. And if the patient doesn't react well to it, then we can change them. The reason that we came up with pharmacogenomic testing is so that we have a better guide for it. It's not perfect, but we have a better guide for what we can prescribe for patients. So what you're saying is demonstrably untrue.
So, but at what risk is it, or what's the cost of it? If you're just saying that, well, we won't really know if it has a negative effect on this person until after we give it to them. How do you scale what that value of potential harm that could do to that person with the doctor not exactly knowing if it's going to help them or not? Why don't we just let you try it and see how it goes?
You know what's far worse than not trying, or than trying it? Not trying it. Because you know who doesn't get better? Untreated people.
Well, see, the problem we could have with that argument is, I believe people that have a strong faith in like God or whatever feel like that they were made the way that they are, and just because
I'm done.
Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I think that kind of ended it right there.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. But yeah, I feel like, it wasn't necessarily.
It's all yours, Snitch. I can't. I'm an atheist, and so I have no rebuttal for pray the gay away or whatever it is you're praying away.
This might be a good time
if you want to pray for your sciatica pain and hope it gets better, more power to you. But that's not medicine. That's religion, and that's outside the purview of my practice. If Snitch has a different opinion,
I respect your opinions and your beliefs and stuff like that. That's no problem with me. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me that you don't believe and stuff. And that's not exactly what I'm saying, but I guess I could rebut that with is I thought that there were some studies done where people that were religious had a far better chance of, like, these people that have like a 10% chance of living and stuff. Then aren't there studies saying that, like, of the people that survived or whatever, 80% of them like were religious? And I thought that there was a lot of doctors in the field of medicine that prescribed religion with their medicine, saying that the religion may be more important than the medicine itself. I mean, there are people that believe that, and I respect anybody that disagrees with that too.
In 35 years of practicing medicine, I have never prescribed religion, and I don't know any physician that has. I don't know. Snitch, do you have an opinion about that, sister?
Nope.
I mean, you know what, though, and this is what I want to say. When people are going through recovery with addiction, we encourage a connection to a higher power because it gives them something to connect to. Not necessarily because we expect them to pray away their addiction, but because it's a sense of accountability, it's a sense of structure and focus, and it maintains that line. But yes, Wes, it's me. But it helps them to maintain their growth through their process. But as far as, with cancer patients, when I have a cancer patient and they say, I've been going to church and it makes me feel better, I am all for them feeling better. If they feel better doing that, if it helps them cope with what they're dealing with, more power to them. But prayer does not cure cancer. I have seen plenty of patients who prayed every day for the rest of their lives and they still died anyway. Prayer doesn't cure things. It might make you feel better, but it's not a cure for anything.
Also, I would like to mention that a lot of those individuals, even though, let's say, a prayer, sorry, I just entered into my home. So even though prayer can theoretically make you, quote unquote, feel more relaxed, it's the same kind of effect as, for instance, meditation. Oh my God, my cat is so cute. And so meditation, yes, having a more positive mindset is a good thing, but it's not a cure for something like cancer. Now, when you hear people saying stories like, oh yeah, I magically reversed my cancer, no, that's actually something that accurately occurs in a very small percentage of cancer cases where there's a spontaneous remission. And spontaneous remissions are a product of just regular biology where, for example, maybe the cancer cell mutates in a certain way, which is detrimental to the cancer cell's survival. The cancer starts responding to medication better. There's various reasons why you'll have a spontaneous remission, and all of which don't involve religion. And that is for cancer specifically. As for other chronic diseases, for example, ALS, there is no instance of religion curing ALS. It is a 100% terminal disease. There is no instance in which religion has ever cured ALS. Same thing for many other 100% terminal diseases, like, for example, prion disease. There is no instance of somebody suffering from a prion disease having a spontaneous remission because they prayed.
Bovine spongiform encephalopathy is lethal. Period. Always.
Sure.
That, that's my
Yeah,
that's
that's
mad
a.
cow
I
disease.
believe that is actually a form of prion diseases.
No, it is. That's why I mentioned it. Yeah. That's why I said that. That's an example of a prion disease that has affected a handful of humans in the last 50 years. You know, so that was why I mentioned it. You get, if you have that, you're toast. I've never diagnosed a case of mad cow in a human, but they happen. Um, and that doesn't mean that if a patient if they had mad cow and they said, "Hey, praying makes me feel better," I'd be like, "All right, you play as much as you want to if it makes you feel better, but it's not going to stop your brain from turning into guacamole."
All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I've been alive for quite a while. So,
Hey, I appreciate all you guys.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and get off this call. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate being able to just kind of discuss some of these topics.
For
or
sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, it was a good call, man. I appreciate you speaking.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. I hope you guys have a really good week, and thank you very much.
All right, man. Take care, okay?
Take care.
All right, see ya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you, Snitch. I appreciate your level of intellect, and I particularly like to give women in STEM props. We don't have enough women in STEM. Us old white dudes are on our way out, and I'm glad that we're seeing more powerful women being visible and prominent in the profession, and I think that's amazing. Congratulations to you. Are you a PhD or a MD? I didn't ask before.
Oh, I'm currently a graduate student, so right now I'm in the thick of it. I plan to pursue my master's and then my PhD. I'm a, I'm almost halfway through my master's degree now, so working towards it. Really exciting stuff. But thank you. It is really difficult being in STEM, but it's a pleasure. I love science so much.
I
It
love
shows.
it. I love it. I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm actually going to be starting back doing my educational labs with microscopy and biochemistry, and hopefully I can start educating people on things like seed oils and how they're not terrible for you because RFK is an idiot. Um, for
Yeah.
those of you who know me, I'm not a fan of RFK, and I want to say this: drink plenty of water, take your medication as prescribed, with either water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea, and that's so you don't screw up the chemistry of the medication. Go to fucking therapy, take your meds like you're supposed to, and the vaccine schedule, despite his best efforts, don't listen to him. Keep the old vaccine schedule. It's important. Get vaccinated, please. Don't unalive yourself or your children because we have an idiot in charge of HHS.
Agreed. Snitch, any last words? If you're there.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree with everything he just said. Vaccine, get yourself vaccinated. Don't drink raw milk because raw milk not only can increase your risk of bacterial diseases, but can also potentially increase your risk for breast cancer. Don't consume an absurd amount of saturated fat and tallow. Seed oils are healthy for you and contain essential fats. And soy is not bad, and microscopy is amazing.
Cool. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you coming on up. I'll bring you down, Snitch. Make sure you guys give Snitch a follow, please. Take care. And then make sure you guys give Dr. Jason a follow. Take care, okay? All right, everyone. Appreciate you guys watching. It was a long live, but I guess we learned a lot, hopefully. Make sure you give me a follow on TikTok, on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. That would be terrific. I try to go live most days. Lately, there's days where I take off just because I need to and all that. But when I go live often. So I don't think I have anything else. Make sure you guys all join Discord. By the way, the link to that is in the bio of TikTok. We got a good crowd there. We got like 800 people, and I do announce ahead of time when I go live, and yeah, be good spot to join. So please do at least join that. I know I keep saying this, but I need to put that link, the link tree, in my YouTube. That way you all can access that. But anyways, guys, take care. Right, have a good night.